I'd like to call to order the February 20th, 24 Warrant and Finance meeting. First on the agenda is salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have everyone here today. Who are alternates? Charlie and Lee? Okay, so since we have everyone,
We've got a full.
you guys aren't voting tonight. All right. Approve the minutes of the last meeting. There are no minutes to approve, right?
Right.
Okay.
After, if I may say, Madam Chair, after tonight, there will be, I have to record everything we do or don't vote on tonight, and there will be one set of records of minutes for the length of our committee.
Okay. All right. Next thing on the agenda is a discussion on the best practices for motions. I know that we've had, discussion about how to do the motions, so, I've asked, Richard Nass to come in, and, he's been our moderator for a number of years. And he may or may not be the moderator this year, we don't know, because we won't know until town meeting when when that is elected. But I'd like Richard to, he gave me a copy of the main moderator's manual, which is the, document we use to run town meeting. So if, Richard, would you like to
Yes.
speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity. I feel like I'm a long way away.
Oh, we don't have a,
Grab a chair, grab a chair.
For the last, I'll grab a good chair. For the last few years, there seems to be some kind of, I don't know, it's an indecision or a concern about the motion. So I'm sitting there as moderator, and I got directions in this book that's called the Main Moderator's Manual, which is what we adopted at the beginning of the meeting. And it specifically says don't do negative motions. And so we get motions, recommendations from the Finance Committee that says something that ends up is a negative motion. And for the last few years, Dennis, who's been the chair, basically he and I worked a deal out where he turns a recommendation from the Finance Committee, which would be a negative motion, into a positive motion, which is usually just vote to pass the selectman's recommendation. And then I stand up there and say, basically, look, if you don't want to, you agree with the Finance Committee, vote no. That's what it boils down to. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. And some people are, it's a little bit, and I'm surprised nobody's really challenged. It's a little bit uncertain as to what might happen if we get into a real battle at town meeting about the motion, who's making the motion, what the motion is. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come and probably try to head this off with the task. First of all, when Leslie and I talked yesterday, we've been using this version of the Main Moderator's Manual, which is a 2005 version, which is what you have, which is what I had yesterday. It turns out about an hour ago, there is a new version. It was 2021, which I was unaware of.
And it wasn't online either.
No, it wasn't online. So I got, Jennifer printed this, so I got it. It turns out in the section that deals with negative motions, which is on page 9 of yours, there's just a few words difference between the two versions. So it's really, what we talked about tonight isn't necessarily affected by it. So what they recommend and tell you is don't allow a negative motion. That means where the motion means if you vote yes, it really means no, and if you vote no, it really means yes. And that would happen when your recommendation is you disagree with the selectmen. They make a recommendation, pass this article and vote $200,000 or something, and you disagree. You don't, either you as a committee say don't pass it, or you want to pass it at some lesser amount. The question is what motion is made to do that. If you make a motion, what you see in the legislature ought not to pass on a selectman's recommendation. that's essentially a negative motion. Essentially, if you want to vote no, you're essentially having to vote yes on an ought not to pass motion, which really means no as far as the motion goes. So it's a negative motion. And the point of the moderator's amendment is that confuses people. Having to vote no when you mean yes, and yes when you mean no leaves people, and they recommend not to do it. So.
Why is it that the legislature does it that way?
Okay, because the legislature works with a different parliamentary procedure called Mason's. Mason's parliamentary procedure. It's much more elaborate, involved. I mean, they deal with, if you go to the legislature, you'll see, maybe 2 or 3 people talking at once, the hammer's banging, and if you're not, when it comes time to be, it's important, people pay attention, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. I mean, they allow amend the amendment, for instance. We're not involved in amending the amendments, and that may go on 2 or 3 different versions of it. So they're much more complicated. We're trying to be pretty simple so people don't get lost and understand what they're doing. And that's why they recommend not to do negative motions. Now,
I did read in here that the simpler the better, and they do not advocate using complicated rules for town meeting, and I should have flagged where it was in here, but I didn't.
that's pretty much the theme of the whole thing. It's pretty much it. Let everybody talk, everybody gets to say what they want, and don't do anything fancy. Is what it boils down to. And that works pretty well, basically. It does get confusing sometimes, but not very often. So I appreciate the opportunity to come to it. I don't know, if I'll be moderator, I'll probably run for moderator, and unless somebody wants to challenge it and do this, I don't know, I'll probably end up moderator again. And so I'm just trying to head this off at the pass. Leslie, I'll look to Leslie basically to make the motions, and she's going to be looking at your recommendation on a piece of paper that says, change it or be against it. So how do you be against it as the finance committee? Well, basically, I'll be looking for a positive motion, or I'm going to rule it out of order. You got to give me a positive motion, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, we're not making a motion, we're just
Making a recommendation.
recommendation.
Right, and over the years, I've looked to the chairman of the finance committee to make the motion. The worst thing from my standpoint as moderator is a long pause when nothing happens. We read the motion, and then everybody's looking at everybody else. And so you expect somebody on the floor to stand up and solve this problem we're talking about now, not make a negative motion? I mean, it's much better if the finance committee, one person of it, or the chairman makes the motion. That's what Dennis and I've been doing for a number of years, right? Yeah. And so then you get a second, doesn't matter if it's somebody from the finance committee or not.
But
things rolling.
There's nothing in the moderator's manual that says that we cannot recommend that it not pass.
Right. So what do you do? And I'm okay with that. I mean, I understand, I've been on the finance committee, I understand your need to express your opinion, and
Right.
they differ from the selectmen. That's nothing wrong with it. The question is, what do we do with that? After your recommendation is ought not to pass, that's fine.
That's something to be addressed at the town meeting.
I think that,
Town meeting's not gonna
Because
solve it.
I find a reverse vote in a positive voice to be confusing. Saying 1 to 5 ought to pass is confusing as all tar. Whereas if you say 5 to 1 ought not to pass,
Oh, okay.
it is clear as a bell where the emphasis is.
Okay, so that, now you're talking about the wording of the recommendation.
Correct.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about that. I don't care how you word that, from my standpoint. 1 to 5 or 5 to 1,
But
whatever.
but in a town meeting, the same applies. If you want a motion of what, this is my feeling, I can't speak for the committee or board, whatever we are. If you want something clear, uncomplicated, then, and if it's ought not to pass, the motion should be ought not to pass, not should pass 1 to 5. No, that's confusing.
Okay. And again, if you, however you want to word that, but I can't deal with a motion ought not to pass when the recommendation on the article from the selectmen is ought to pass.
Okay, yeah.
Then what you should do is you should read the selectmen's recommendation and then if people
I
can
read
either,
both.
they
I'm
they
gonna
can
read
either,
both of them, but.
Okay.
There's the maker of the motion. What's the maker of the motion? And the way Dennis and I worked it out is Dennis has made a positive motion, and then we're trying to convince Leslie to do the same.
Can you give examples of
Yes.
what that might look like?
So the selectmen's recommendation is, Article 1, the motion is ought to pass, appropriate, say, $200,000 for roads or something like that. Underneath that, the Warrant and Finance Committee says, no, we don't agree with that. It should be less than that, or it should not pass at all. And that would be the ought not to pass.
correct.
Correct.
So that's the recommendation.
That's the recommendation from the Finance Committee. It's not the recommendation from the selectmen.
So now, how would the motion follow that?
So, the motion would be, the selectmen's motion ought to pass, and then the moderator is gonna remind everybody, in the beginning, I start reminding everybody, but if you don't want this, if you agree with the Finance Committee on this, then you should vote no on this. And then there's some reluctance for some people to vote no. I don't know why that is, but if you don't agree with this, vote no. That's the answer.
But no means yeah.
No.
No, in that
The motion is gonna be what the original motion from the selectmen was, which is ought to pass.
I mean, that's how it's been presented since I've been going to town meeting,
Yeah.
is, accept the motion as written
Yeah.
at town meeting. I
And,
mean, I haven't found it to be confusing, when you have a 1 to 5 from the Warrant and Finance, because we did it a lot last year. There was a lot of articles we said no
Is that-
for.
When you
Does
say
that
1 to
number
5,
have
what do you
to be in
mean?
The recommendation, I mean,
On up-
do you state that?
That
What?
1 to 5, one person thinks it
So know what the vote
should
is?
pass and
Yes.
5 don't.
Yeah,
In the event of a tie, it fails, so it
No,
has
but
to
I
be
mean,
there.
does it have to be in writing on the motion
warrant?
of what we, of what our actual numbers were when we
I think
voted?
you get to determine that.
We can,
You can say,
we're elected to represent
You
the
could say pass
people,
or fail
and
in
yes,
our
it should be,
Do we have to actually say what the vote was if it failed or passed? In
Yes.
writing on the
Well,
warrant?
It goes on the- it goes on the warrant.
That gives weight to what the vote was.
yeah.
Right,
That's
just
if-
wondering if legally,
well,
or,
there's no guidance on that. We're,
on town elections, you'll see that,
Yeah,
right? If we're voting on appropriating money for the fire department. Selectmen say 3-1, yes. Warrant and Finance say,
yeah, I was just curious if it's mandatory to have that.
I don't know if it's
in
mandatory,
writing.
but it's always been there.
and
Any
the other
election
part
I've
of that
seen.
is, and the same with the school board, is that the town is somewhat dependent on the fact that you sat and listened to all this stuff and came up with a decision, so, you ought to be on your feet, saying something. You know, that's why you voted that way. And that happens sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't, so. I mean, in addition to your written recommendation, feel free to stand up and tell the folks why you voted for or against something. Even more confusing is when your recommendation is for a lesser amount. I can recommend $200,000 for paving of the road, you say you don't need that, how about $150,000? That's your recommendation. So, what do we do with that? $150,000, it's not a negative motion, it's just a different amount.
In that case, would you vote the first one, and if it was turned down, would you bring up the
Well,
second vote?
I would think, the assumption is that we take action on all the articles. And so if a motion gets voted down, yeah, the moderator's gonna say, okay, what's your pleasure, what's the next motion on this article? You can't just skip it. You could, but there's a motion to skip over something, but that's not what you're trying to resolve an issue, so. come up with
Because it
another.
could be amended right then and there.
Well,
Yeah,
the-
you do an amendment.
but let's say for voting up or down on a motion, let's say, your example, Article 2 or whatever, and it's a dollar amount, and everybody's fine with the dollar amount. And that's not the issue why, let's say, the warrant rejects it. Motion would be to vote on the article as written, because you're not amending it, you're not changing it, and the subsequent sentence would be, the select board recommends to pass, Warrant and Finance recommends not to pass.
Right. That's the reading of the article.
Correct.
Now, in order to proceed, to go further, we need a motion.
That is the motion. Motion to accept the article as written Select Board recommends this to pass. Warrant and Finance recommends ought not to pass.
Okay, we've already read the motion, so that would be a repeat. I mean, it's not, you can do it, but we've already read the motion.
Why, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Why do you think you've read the motion already?
Because we haven't put it on the floor until the moderator's read the motion.
Okay, so when you read the
When you
motion,
read the motion, then someone from the audience or whoever would go and say.
you're gonna read it exactly the way Charlie said,
We can, yeah.
okay?
There's no guidance as to how to read it.
So, and you're gonna read it exactly how it's written here. Select Board says pass, Warrant and Finance says ought not pass.
Right.
Then I can see as the moderator, you would have to say, first, we're going to vote.
No?
First, we need a motion.
No, you've just read the
You have a
motion.
motion, you have a second?
You have a second?
No. Reading the motion is not the motion.
Reading the article.
And we're confusing the word. Reading the article still needs a motion to get it.
Okay, you've read the article.
Yeah.
Now you're
Read the
gonna.
recommendations.
With the recommendations. Now you're gonna read the motion.
No, he's not gonna read the motion, he's.
Oh, well, you're gonna read the
I'm
motion.
gonna give
Somebody's
them,
gonna make
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna give the motion.
You're gonna make a motion. We'll get our verbiage right here.
Stand a second.
Okay, you're gonna
So
read
then
it.
someone gets up and makes a motion that the article ought not pass, period. That's positive.
No,
It might have a negative ending,
But it's a positive statement.
no, it's
It's
not.
declarative, it's
Well,
positive.
But the original recommendation, see, the power the selectmen have is to decide what the articles are in their recommendation. So if the article says raise $200,000 for road paving, and you don't agree with that, and don't want any money to do, so you're now forced into a negative motion. Okay, because if I vote to agree with you, ought not to pass, that is negative as far as the original motion.
No, the motion is what's going to be voted on.
Yeah,
Right.
So if the motion is made,
Well, the article proposes to raise X number of dollars.
right, and someone gets up and makes a motion that the article ought not pass, that's a positive declarative statement.
Right, but it started with the selectmen's recommendation.
That's not part of the motion.
No.
You already said that.
Right, but it does, the word not doesn't have to be part of it. It's still a negative motion. In order to kill the motion, you have to vote yes on it ought not to pass. And the original motion basically was to raise, or to do something positive, to do something, to raise money, to approve an ordinance to do it. So that if you end up with a ought not to pass, that creates a negative motion.
Because the recommendations always refer back to the verbiage for each one of these, that it should pass as written. Right, that's the reference every time, isn't it?
Yes, unless you were trying to talk about a different amount. There's an
Right, I
amount
mean,
that should-
but in general, when
Right.
all the articles have that reference behind them, that it ought to pass as written, and then that's when people vote
That's a
yes.
legitimate motion, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so,
And I think that if we make, if that first motion decreases the amount, I think it becomes cloudy as to what would transpire next. Whereas if the motion was made to accept as written, and then someone got up and said, I make a motion to reduce the amount.
which is an amendment.
Yeah, so then you deal with the amendment first, and then you go back to the original motion if the amendment fails.
You can see why this is confusing, because what appears to you to be, after all your work here, what appears to be a positive motion, you don't agree with it. You want recognition that you don't agree with it. And, but every time you do that, it creates, because the starting point is what the selectmen recommended, not what you did.
Right, because the fact that they wrote these
Yeah.
makes it obvious that they recommend it, right?
Right.
Not necessarily.
No.
Not
They may
necessarily.
differ too.
no, because
There may be split.
planning board's written some of these articles.
Yeah, so if the, like, say there's a planning ordinance, a zoning ordinance that the planning board put forward that the selectmen don't agree with, and that's happened, where they thought it shouldn't pass, Warrant and Finance thought it shouldn't pass, but the motion was approve the article as written. And then it was voted down, so it failed.
But I think, however, we should be very clear on this, because I don't think how the first article goes should have any real, whatever, on how the rest of them go. It should not. Each article needs to be looked at individually.
Yeah,
That's what our job is.
right.
We looked at these, we did what our due diligence to represent the citizens, and we look at each article individually. I mean, yeah, I know if we use the hypothetical, we're going to raise and appropriate $200,000 for roads, and I stand up and I say, I'd like to make an amendment. We should appropriate $200,000 for roads, not raise. There's going to be bedlam.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's got to explain that.
Then explain that.
Yeah.
Then explain that.
But, I mean, I guess what I'm left with is the fact you've done all this work and you have a recommendation that's different than what the selectmen did.
Right?
There ought to be some place along the line where that's recognized, or noted at least. And-
Well, that just takes one of us standing up, saying,
Yeah.
Warrant and Finance believes that the amount of money, say it's a money issue, everything's money, the amount of money that has been recommended to be appropriated, raised and appropriated. Warrant and Finance does not feel that enough research went into that. And
And then people have the opportunity to clear in their mind, you're either going to agree with you or agree
Right.
with the selectmen.
right,
And if they agree with you, then their vote is a no vote. And the moderator will remind me of that.
Right.
We do that in the legislature. The speaker will remind everybody, look, if you're on this side of it, in case you haven't been paying attention, if you're on this side of it, vote yes, and if you're on that side, vote no. That's a frequent recommendation.
So does, anytime that we disagree with the selectmen on a recommendation, would doing that solve the issue? One of us getting up and
Yeah, that's what I
explaining?
encourage, yes. I'm really disappointed the school board is the worst. They don't say anything. They sit there. No, have any conversation. Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, if I hear it right,
Yeah.
as moderator, you're going to propose the amendment, or the
To read the
article.
And the recommendations.
And then you read the recommendations,
Yeah.
and
And then
then you're gonna wait for a motion.
Motion.
And the motion's gonna be a positive motion to the article,
Right. The original article.
the original article. And then you're gonna vote on it, yea or nay. And let's say in the case that we've been using as an example, that the Warren
In the
Finance
past,
bill
these always
too
had
much
the
money,
two-
so they're on the nay
These had the
side.
two
And let's say the
recommendations,
town says
the two
no,
lines,
votes
yeah.
no. Then you're gonna wait for an amendment to that article?
Unless somebody's already made an amendment. That's.
Okay,
The
Article
motion is
1,
made,
blah,
then we're
blah,
open for, somebody wants to stand up and amend the motion before it's voted on. Then you do the amendment first and then vote on the article if it's been amended. So you can do an
Do it
amendment.
either way.
Yeah, but if it gets voted down, we still have to go back and clean it up and basically do
okay.
something. They basically tell you
Here's the
not to.
article, here's its
Don't
written.
start skipping
Then
over things.
it says,
Town meeting
Select
ends
Board
and you have to
recommends,
resolve. That's what happens
Board
at
of
11,
Finance.
basically, where they do everything by referendum. Something gets voted down.
not here.
There is no
Direction.
Yeah, so now we're gonna have another meeting, basically.
So each one of these needs to be resolved.
I think it'd be better if you could resolve all of them. That doesn't, no guarantee, I mean, you can do what you want, but I mean, it's certainly better if there's some money appropriated for roads, or there's some big problem that needs to be resolved, then you're gonna have another meeting. So, it's just an uncomfortable position, knowing that the finance committee has done all this work, has an opinion different than the selectmen, they have a right and opportunity to make sure that people know that. And I think that opportunity is enhanced if you're on your feet talking about it. You know, why you did this or why you did that.
That is what we are elected for.
Yeah, you're an advisory board.
We're an advisory board, so that is exactly why we are sitting
And
here.
that has happened.
So it can happen both ways.
Happens-
There can be
has
an
happened a lot.
amendment made, and then that amendment is voted on prior to voting on the article
The
itself.
motion on the article is to adopt the article as written. Somebody stands up and says, I'd like to amend it. I'd like to make it lower. I'd like to, I suppose you could say, I'd like to not do it. Now we're back to ought not to pass, right? So, that's why this is, I appreciate the opportunity, because at town meeting, when the people are there, it's not the time to try to resolve this, especially if we're trying to encourage you to participate in this. And,
Which is why I asked you to, to come in, so we can put this behind us before we get to town meeting, so we all know
So if you want to
what
do
the
ought not to
procedure.
pass, it's just that the worst thing from the moderator's standpoint is read the article, read the recommendation, and then silence. You know, because then what do? You wait for somebody who has not done what you guys have done, looked at the budget, to say something, or you're going to wait, you're going to encourage people who are negative on something to jump up and say something. So it's much better if the finance committee can make a motion. And nobody has objected to that over there. I think there's been some, occasionally there's somebody groans about it. Why is the finance committee making all the motions? You know, the motion is just a motion. If you don't want it, vote against it. And that's what there's a reluctance to do, to be against things. I think there's generally a position in most of the people who are there, they want to be supportive of most of the stuff.
And I do think when you open the door by having a committee member get up and say something, other people go, oh, they're still alive, nobody shot them, you know, I can say what I need to say.
It's possible that Leslie, if she's chairman, doesn't want to, she may be disagreeing with the rest of the finance committee. And somebody on the finance committee ought to stand up and make the motion.
Right.
And the second.
Making a motion is, I mean, it's, whether you agree with it or not, I mean, it's just,
just a motion.
it's just a motion.
Just the
Yeah,
beginning of the discussion.
right, it opens the door.
It opens the door.
Yeah, and that's how I look at it, where, I mean, there's a lot of things that I disagreed with over the years that
Yeah.
I've made motions on and ended up voting against it because,
Yeah.
you
You
know,
didn't want it.
right.
That's what Dennis and I have been doing.
And I will say, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a conflict about me getting up and making all the motions. And Dick spoke to me about it before the meeting, and I said, fine. And what ended up happening was, nobody really wanted to do it, and Dick looked to me to make all the motions, that's what I did the rest of the meeting.
Yeah.
It just works well.
In all the years I've been going to town meeting, the chair of the finance committee has always done it.
Dennis,
I
will
mean,
you be
and I
there
never
to
knew
make
that-
all the motions this year?
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Can we
Does
get an
anyone-
answer to that one?
Does anyone have any other questions for Richard?
So the big news tonight is there is a new moderator's manual, which I didn't have yesterday when I talked to Leslie about this. And it's dated.
So do you want this old one back?
Eventually. The part we were talking about tonight, there's 3 or 4 additional words, but they aren't changed.
Okay.
Would it be possible to get a copy of that?
The new one?
Yeah,
Sure, not for me, but this came,
I'll ask Jennifer for copies.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay.
it would be, if you, there's lots of other stuff in it, but I mean,
It's always good reading.
Yeah, I've got to send Jennifer a lengthy email anyway, either tonight or tomorrow morning, so I'll ask for that.
thank you all.
thank you,
Thank you,
Richard.
Richard.
Thank you very
Richard.
much.
Okay.
Take care, sir.
See you.
Everyone good with that? Any comments, discussion? Charlie?
My vote is our recommendation, if it is a negative, it should be ought not to pass. How it's read at the town meeting, irregardless.
Okay.
And this, like you said, this has been done many times anyway, but if we disagree with the selectmen, it would be, like he said, human nature is to just go along, right? for one of us or more than one of us to get up and explain why a little bit, which some of us have done.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
so-
There's been a number of us that have gotten up and explained
So
why we
maybe
voted against
On
something.
anything we disagree with them, maybe at least one person should get up and say why,
Yeah,
or else he's right, what was the point of doing this?
Right,
If we disagree and we don't say anything, what was the point of doing it?
right.
You know,
I can give you an example. I got up one time and disagreed with a motion and said it had to do with the kitchen and the sorry state of disrepair. And I explained that I voted against it for several reasons. One was very personal experience. The Owls used the kitchen, and we found we could no longer use it because of ABCD. And if you put, and nobody has forgotten what I said, I can tell you that. If you spend $25,000 on this, you're putting lipstick on a pig. And I have had that phrase thrown at me several times. It didn't pass.
what that means, yeah.
It didn't pass. I mean,
Right.
and, it had been voted positive by the select board, but,
And I'm sure there'll be some things in here, that like last 2 years, that we don't agree on,
hey,
which is good.
one way to find out.
Absolutely, all right. So, we have the warrant. And according to the timeline, our recommendations are due by tomorrow. So, last year, if we didn't feel we had enough information or whatever, and I think that, we had a lot of meetings with the selectmen, to get answers, so we've all had opportunities to ask questions.
This year?
This year.
Yeah, okay.
So, but no isn't, if you don't agree with something, no is an answer. So, and I wouldn't hesitate to vote no if you don't agree with something. So,
This one email with the real tiny font, that.
Which one?
It was, you think it's you to Jennifer, and you listed 7 things, questions basically. It says, we met last night and we have several suggestions and questions on the proposed warrant. And one of them says, page 3, last article, what is the current fund balance of all reserve accounts listed? I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
no, I remember
Did all
that.
this stuff get answered?
The fund balances, they're still working on, we've got a new email from Jennifer. There was 3 of them that I questioned as to why they were even there. The
that include-
reval,
I'm
West Shore Drive, and I forget, I think that I asked what the ARPA fund level was and when those funds expire.
Yeah, it was, our approval was sure.
Mark Roy was in, helping them transfer a bunch of stuff over, and apparently there's, staff shortages, so they, the email that I got, that we all got, a couple hours ago, said that those will be coming, but they just couldn't get them to us, because they needed to get this to us. So,
It's missing.
You have yours? You have yours?
Make a motion to get started on the article.
okay. Also, too, Jennifer did recommend that we schedule another meeting tentatively in case there's any changes on the mooring and
Floodplain.
State.
the floodplain, or after the
Public hearing.
public hearing, which is March 6th. So, we may not need another meeting, but I'd like to go ahead and schedule one if we can, just in case.
Well, the floodplain is pretty standard, it came
Yeah.
from the state.
Yeah, I doubt that that's gonna be, it's gonna change. And it did go to legal, came back today, so,
I mean, the changes that have been made have already been
yeah,
put in.
Yeah, so, I'd like to tentatively schedule something for March 11th, and we probably won't need it. So is everyone good with that?
Good for me.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
6 o'clock?
Yep.
You can assume that's a Monday, Leslie?
Yes,
It
it
is.
is. It is, yeah, try to do,
It's on.
do them all on Mondays. Okay. All right, so. Moving right along. How do you guys want to do this?
We gotta go through them.
All right, Article 1, choose a moderator.
You don't have anything?
Yeah, so you want to just go around and? Joyce, or two?
Choose 3 members of Warrant and Finance Committee for 2-year terms. Leslie Berlin, Phil Crusoe, and Romero Lopez, terms are expiring.
How about we should start right at Article 6? 'cause
I think that's a great idea.
The other ones,
I would
Okay.
like to ask one question about Article 2. Leslie, Phil, and Ray, think now and have your answer. If you're going to run again, please. So, because you're going to be asked right from the floor, do you want to run again
Me at the town meeting.
at the town meeting? I'm not asking for an answer, I'm just saying, make your decision so when we're there, we can keep the posse together.
Right.
Okay? So, you're going ahead with the floodplain, I guess.
I'm going to read the entire,
No.
No.
oh, geez, that was really
Were you
getting juiced up. I had my lips wet and everything.
I hope we're not gonna have to read.
All right,
It's a funny game.
Charlie, it's brand new, it's never been used.
all right, so we got to get back to the,
All the way to page 20.
is that where we're going? All right. I guess this is just to see if the town will vote to adopt the Town of Acton floodplain ordinance as printed below. That's it. And then it's the article, and then the whole floodplain ordinance.
This was reviewed by legal, it came from the state. If this doesn't pass, then a number of our residents will lose their flood insurance. So for discussion, I mean, do we have a second?
Second,
So this is just a no-brainer that we need to pass this.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Can't vote.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
So we're 5-0, right?
6.
6-0.
6. I always think 5.
6-0 to pass.
Yep.
Okay, all right, Article 7.
To see if the town will vote to adopt the mooring ordinance is printed below.
Can I hear a motion?
I move to accept it as written.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
We had quite a bit of discussion on this article.
Yep.
Yep.
And the issues that would arise from somebody who did not have the 50 feet frontage there. So, I mean, you are in that category along with some of your neighbors.
Yep.
What do your neighbors feel?
my neighbors are all non-residents, so they're not up during this time of year, so I haven't talked to them.
This is regarding mooring boats in the water, not dock access to the water. And if you have less than 50 feet, the mooring itself is going to, if you have a boat that's close to 20 feet long, 25 feet, which is not unusual, just being able to rotate it around is going to take up the entire space.
Yeah, but the provision of this article grants authority for the town out to 200 feet from the shoreline.
From the shoreline out, yes.
Right, so-
But this is along the shore.
Well, you're granted one mooring for all the lots that have 50 feet or greater.
Right.
So as long as you have 50 feet, it doesn't mean you have to have your mooring 20 feet off the shore.
No.
You could
No,
have
I'm
it
talking about the fact that your boat
195
is
feet.
20 feet up, and when it rotates around,
Right.
it's going to take up to 50 feet.
But if your mooring is out 150 feet, it can rotate around all at once, even with the length of the
It's the
chain.
perpendicular
Still- it's
lines
still
going out
inside
from
the
the
lines.
shore.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still inside your property lines.
Right,
Up
it's
to
got to stay
200
within
feet.
your property lines.
But that wouldn't work on an inside
Does it
curve.
say
It
that?
doesn't say
It
that.
doesn't say that.
It's kind of how
Talks
Tom
about the
explained it
perpendicular
last week.
line on the shore, yes.
That's, where does it say
It's
that?
just granting whether or not you can have a mooring. If you have 50 feet or greater, you can have one mooring.
Right.
Where you
And-
put it out there, the harbor master
Yeah.
will have authority out to 200 feet
And don't forget,
The 200 feet is from the shore out.
from the shore
The
out.
high water.
from the high water line,
Yep,
Right.
or 1/3 the distance to the opposite shores.
right.
To allow for
Normal.
navigation through narrow areas.
Right, but don't forget, this is not so much for you putting one in front of your house. It's for Ray, getting his boombox and putting it in front of your house.
Right.
It almost,
But the whole idea of whether or not it's 200 feet straight out, there would be
Yeah.
an awful lot of overlaps.
Oh, yeah.
On parcels that are on an inside curve.
or if you're in a cove like I am,
And so.
it would be a
Those lines
mess.
might intersect 50 feet away from the shore.
Or you have the people who have the 25-foot right of
Right,
ways.
or
Yeah.
25 foot. So
Exactly.
all this is just written up so that you're granted one somewhere within the next 200 feet from the shore.
And you have the authority
I think
to
it's
give
poorly
permission.
worded.
It's a mess. It's poorly,
And that in itself
yes.
is a problem.
Correct.
The-
That is a problem. But as far as authorization, I read through the statutes and the town does have authority to actually do this.
I understand they have authority, that doesn't mean they should.
well.
Because you can, doesn't mean you should.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I agree with that.
You can give permission,
But that was my original objection. It seems as though, how can you grant permission on something that you don't own?
right,
Yeah.
But the town has authority, and the only thing they're asking for is permission from you as the shoreland owner, whether or not you're gonna grant permission to someone else to park their mooring in front of your lot.
Yes.
And that's just a courtesy more than anything. I don't know if that's enforceable, other than from whatever the harbor master decides that he or she wants to do.
It's enforceable from the point of view that they have the right to remove the boat.
well, there is a fine involved
Well,
with
to remove
this
the
too.
mooring.
Mooring.
Yep.
Yeah,
At the
harbor
cost of
master.
whoever's moored the boat there.
Right, it could be a dock or, a float.
Could be a float.
So this basically is an extension of your property lines, let's say 200. I'm not saying
There's
they
no
own it.
extension of your property
I'm
line.
not saying you own it, but I'm saying these, the 200 feet out, that correlates to your shoreline footage.
Nope,
So you can put your mooring anywhere. It has to be in front of your property.
right, in front of your property,
Right.
anywhere out to 200 feet, they have authority to control.
That's what I was getting at. I mean, it's imaginary lines, obviously.
But they're not necessarily perpendicular to the shore.
No, a lot of times they wouldn't be. No. Hence the harbor master. Good luck.
No kidding.
Good luck with that job.
Well,
We're
I
gonna have to
mean,
buy another boat now.
yeah, but, well, you do, you're gonna need another boat to get to your boat. But at the end of Square Pond, which Lee knows,
Just think of the expense that this is adding up for the town.
Is the town allowed to have a mooring? It doesn't say that, does it? You gotta
If
swim.
they own property, they can.
you know, but a lot of the lots, like mine, I have 100 feet of water, but I only have about 60 feet on the road. So mine goes like this. You know, go figure.
It could be the Wild West out there.
Oh, this is
The
a
way I can
nightmare.
see all the cameras going up in the trees, watching.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna get weird.
I could see this working, you know, on a great pond or on a river,
Or
you know,
oceanfront.
but in these small ponds, this is madness.
Any
This
other
would be so
discussion?
hard to enforce, plus the town will have to procure a boat.
So what are we
We have a
recommending
boat.
then?
Huh?
We have a boat.
They have the
I
boat.
might actually have to use it.
Are we gonna vote on it after that conversation?
Yes, is any other discussion? All in favor? One.
I'm okay with it.
All opposed? 5?
1 to 5.
Okay.
We're 5 to 1, ought not to
Ought not
pass.
pass.
So we're gonna go that way. 5 to 1, ought not pass, correct? Correct?
But however,
No, because this goes in the record, so it's not however.
okay, 5 to 1 ought not pass, but
Okay.
when I make the recommendation at town meeting to make the motion, I'll switch it.
However you want to do.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right, Article 8,
Article 8, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to filling, grading, or other earthy moving activity as specified below.
all right. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept it as it's written.
A second?
Second.
Discussion?
God, this is what it said.
I think they made the changes we asked them to make.
They
They
made the
did.
changes.
Yeah, and it's all in the land use chart.
Earthly moving,
Sorry?
earthly moving,
Earthly moving?
that's what it says.
Oh my
earthly.
gosh, that's got to be a mistake.
Earth moving, yes, earthly moving.
That's got to be a mistake.
Where do you see that?
It's a little too spiritual for me.
Well, as opposed to,
Well, it's in the article.
It's in the
Earthy.
article, the second
Earthy
line of the
moving.
article. Earthly. What is
Earthy.
that? Why?
No, earthy.
wait.
There's no L.
It's earthy.
Earthy,
It's earthy.
earthy,
Where are
earthy
you seeing
moving.
this?
Yeah,
It's in the article. Read
where
the
in the
article.
article?
Article 8.
Yeah.
Is that such a word?
Oh, okay.
That's a typo.
That's a
Sometimes I
typo,
smell
yeah.
earthy after I've been out digging all day.
Getting out our crystals and our balls,
Yeah,
gotta work on our meridians.
I make a motion to strike that word.
Or change it to earth.
I make a motion to strike the Y.
Earth moving.
Strike the Y out of earthy. Even I
We
can
need a
see-
vote.
But we need an amendment to that, right?
No,
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 no.
God,
All
no.
right, so we have a motion on the table, right? Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, John and I,
Okay. Any,
The motion is to amend it.
it really is. Can we,
The motion is
for-
to-
All right.
We're voting on right now is what's printed in front of us.
Then
Our
I'm-
motion
then
is to
I'll
amend.
change my motion to accept the amendment as written, except striking out earthy and removing it and making it earth.
I don't think you can you do it that way?
Sure.
See, why not?
Motion to accept with the amendment.
We don't, we like the motion,
But
we like
correct it.
the article, we just don't like
Then I'll
that
second
word.
it again.
all
Okay,
right, amendment to remove the Y.
yep.
Come on, John with no H, you can do better than that.
So we have to vote on the amendment.
Okay.
Okay, well, it turns out it's a whole
It's the
thing.
whole thing, you gotta vote on the whole article
The
with
whole
the
article
amendment.
with the amendment.
Deal.
All right, this is just housekeeping. This was actually
Yes.
changed years ago.
If I may,
Yes.
if you change anything in the writing of an ordinance, then you have to have another public hearing because something's been changed.
For housekeeping,
You cannot, it's not housekeeping right now.
this is a
You guys are
draft.
making recommendations on what you will present.
Right, and so,
And any changes, recommendations should have already been made. So if you, first off, the town meeting can't change.
This can't change zoning.
In an ordinance.
But this is a draft.
No, it's not. Not once you guys do your vote, it's an official document.
And that's because it's an ordinance.
And send it back and ask them to resubmit.
Yeah.
Then we have to meet again.
You can't
Yeah.
amend this one.
If you want to get hung up on that, then that's the only way you can do it.
well,
Yeah.
then don't vote on anything tonight, just make our corrections, send it back to.
We're not doing that. We're not doing
That's
that.
fine too, you can do it at your school meeting
When's our next school meeting?
next week.
Next Thursday.
Thursday, right?
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
I can just see things flying on Wednesday, though. I think
Earthy
we
is
should
an
just go
adjective.
on.
I think we should just go on.
Earthy's an adjective, so that's how they're using it.
They're not, that's, sorry.
Or so we want to throw this all away and start all over?
No, I think we just go on.
So then what's the
Just go
noun in
on.
that sentence?
Just go on. Use common sense and move on.
Right, there is none, if you don't change earthy to
Which is an
earth,
adjective,
right,
yeah.
then there's no noun.
I seriously think we use common
We're
sense.
not going to finish
and
this
move on.
tonight. If we're going to argue
Because-
over a word
Yeah,
Spend all this money.
for something that we went over last week,
Yep,
we're never going to finish this.
exactly, and I didn't put any
Yeah, I don't care about the
vodka or whiskey.
I don't
in
care
my-
about
people sitting out there
Not
will know
really.
it was a typo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It doesn't change what the thing is.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, could we go on then, please? You still need a vote.
Yep. All right, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
6-0?
So,
I can't see a side of you.
Yes.
6-0?
Yeah.
6-0.
Thank you.
Filling you up?
Oh. To see if the town will vote, this is Article 9, to amend the zoning ordinance relative to water quality protection as specified below. And no person shall bury any animal remains or permit the burial within 100 feet of a source of potable water or within 100 feet of natural water body within the shoreland and resource protection districts. Pretty straightforward.
Can I hear a motion?
We accept the article as written.
Second.
Discussion? My question is, who wants to go and get the dead deer on Great East Lake right now?
or the dead fox that I found today on Mosen.
Yeah, but this only talks about burying them, they can float in the lake.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah, really.
Had a big one.
Well, you can throw them in the water, just don't bury it.
There was a big one down near ETP.
Don't worry about that water.
That's what it says.
Last year,
It does not restrict you.
Jim and I
except
went
burying.
down there and
Because that's
tried
not
to
in the
take care
resource
of it.
protection or the
You
shoreline.
can hang it in a
You know,
tree.
I think it's inland fisheries and
I
all
think it could have been
that,
written a
they tell you
little more
don't touch,
specific.
leave it.
He talked to them.
Did he?
Yeah, while we were there.
Well, he's a good guy.
All right, there's a
That was
motion.
the one out there with the stick.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Ooh,
Can you tell us why?
Why? I don't think it's enforceable. And,
It's not. Well-
first of all, if you're burying an animal next to your neighbor's well, what are you doing on his property? That's trespass.
Gonna get shot is what you're doing.
Well, even on your own property, because that's what happened last year.
Well, the example I gave at the planning board meeting was that, okay, here's an example. I have a small parcel of land, and it's rocky. My neighbor has a pretty good parcel of land, and it's tillable soil easily. I go over, I ask my neighbor, do you mind if I bury my pet, whatever, the iguana, you know,
I knew it.
on your land?
Maybe a small grave.
Well, a very small grave, that's why I said it was tillable. That's not the example I used in the planning board meeting. And he says, yeah, sure, but he doesn't pick out a spot, because he doesn't care, just go ahead and do it. So he gave permission, he's not doing the burying, he gave permission, you go and you bury it, and the ordinance says that you can't bury it within 100 feet of the well, period, done.
I mean, this relates directly to when you're building a home and you have to have your septic and
Yeah.
leach fields a certain distance, it's the same exact thing.
Same.
But it's totally unenforceable, which I didn't even think of,
Yeah,
which makes it silly, actually.
It is silly.
Yeah.
But this was brought up because
If it
someone
contaminates
complained.
your well, it won't be silly. So,
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to do, is
I understand the reason why
protect
it's
people's
here.
water sources.
Why, I understand the intent.
So we can turn it down.
I understand the intent.
So I would say
However,
it's enforceable if I drop a dime on you and say, hey,
Just out of curiosity, how would this be enforced and by who?
But the
I-
code enforcement officer.
I asked at the planning board public hearing,
God, my head is cold.
and, thinking too much. And, well, you know, somebody could call. And then what are you gonna do? And I said, oh, is there a fine?
Well, any deviation from the land use ordinance or what's allowed is considered a nuisance, and there's a fine, $50.
Doesn't say it.
No, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to,
Nope. It's in the statutes.
but they don't know it.
Well, there's no negative to it. I mean,
No.
it's adding something to an ordinance, it's not taking away. Even though it may not be enforceable, in reality, what harm is it doing by adding it? I'm playing devil's.
Okay, I'll go the other way. The little gray squirrel that I'd have run over if I could have, I found him dead. And this is serious. I found him dead 2 feet from my well cover. Had I not seen him, I think the coyotes would have got him first.
Circle of life.
Or, you know, the circle of life, or something like that.
So you just leave them there,
Yeah,
as long as you don't bury them.
well,
Crows will
actually,
eat them.
Maybe your well is contaminated, and that's the reason why he died next to the well.
I never thought of that. Could be. Watch me closely if I start foaming at the mouth,
I have a sick mind.
you know. But, you know, my whole thing is, I understand, it happened to a person. Now, I've lived in town over 26 years. It's the first time I've heard about it, and I know it's very expensive, because we were involved with well contamination, but from an oil tank. And we know that the state has insurance, and you're covered, and there's a whole wonderful way of taking care of that. This is different. I just have a thing about unenforceable ordinance, just this, all, putting this stuff on the books. I mean, it's,
And I'm just asking, like, I was curious what Joe thinks, actually. Joe? I'm curious.
Well, I don't know, I thought about if an animal, you bury it within, say, 10 feet of the boundary, are you not necessarily, there's not necessarily a well there, but there is the boundary. Is that, I don't think this ordinance takes care of that.
Well, it doesn't say you can't be within 10 feet of a boundary.
I know,
It
but
says
you
the
could also
well.
experience the decomposition of the animal, various things going into the neighbor's land and into his water profile. You know, and it could pollute the well, maybe not right away.
Does this match the 100 feet? Is that the same? It sounds like it is as leach fields? Right.
Yeah, at least, leach fields and wells, yeah.
When you're building it, it's 100, same 100 feet.
100 feet. Septic tank has to be a minimum of 80, and the leach field has to be 100. Minimum.
I mean, it's a gray area too, but where you put it, you know, put it on your property or on your property or my property, it could be 3 different places, you know. But it could be next to the neighbor in that capacity.
It doesn't say.
I just, my objection is that it's unenforceable. And why are we putting things on the books that we can't enforce? You know, I understand why they did it is they thought there was a need for it, but, I mean, it's, we've owned property here. Oh my God, my husband's been, coming up here since he was 10 years old, so that's 60 years, and this is the first we've ever heard of something like this. What is the, how often would something like this occur?
I mean, typically, the well is pretty close to the home for a lot of reasons. So, I mean, usually neighbors would settle that, you know, you look out your back window and Charlie's at my house digging a big hole with my tractor.
18
Well, I'm
inches,
sleeping.
yeah, 18 inches from the back of my house, which is where my well is.
Of animals, so I'm probably gonna confront him,
Yeah.
you know? I don't need an ordinance to do that.
That's
That would
why
be
I
the-
do it at night.
That would be the enforcement. There's bear traps out there, but
Yeah, so I mean, it's,
I guess I don't know.
You just look out
Well,
at
she
the,
was just explaining her position, so, I mean, you already did your vote, 4-2.
Right, it was 4-2.
4-2 to pass.
Thank you, Charlie.
I like the debate, though.
I'd just be careful if it was him at your house. You know, his wife's about 5'9", so watch what size he's digging.
Article 32. To see if the town will authorize the select board to appropriate and expend monies from the unassigned fund balance for the purchase of equipment or to use as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occur during fiscal year 2024 to 2025. Expenditures in excess of $5,000 shall require advice and recommendation of the Warrant and Finance Committee. Maximum expenditure of $15,000.
This sounds familiar from last year.
It
Yeah,
is.
last year
it is.
was
It's on.
$500 was the threshold,
500?
and we had agreed, or we had discussed at the
raising it to 5,000.
BOS meeting to raise it to 5,000, because 500 was so trivial.
Right, do I have a motion?
Motion to accept as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Ray, we did, and Phil, we did talk about raising it to
Yeah, and I remember this from last
5,000
year.
from last, at the last Board of Selectmen meeting.
Pretty straightforward. and-
Yeah, so, any other discussion? All in favor?
Look at me, Leslie, I didn't make that.
No? Okay.
Is that 6-0?
Yeah.
6, yeah.
Yep,
33?
yep.
Want me to read?
You're up, yep.
See if the town will vote to authorize the select board to dispose of surplus town-owned equipment with the exception of road equipment having a value of less than or equal to $500 on such terms and conditions as they deem advisable, and to execute any necessary documents to accomplish said purpose. All equipment having a value of more than $500 shall be put out through public bid. Funds received from such sales shall be placed in the municipal unassigned fund balance.
Make a motion to accept as written.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All right, Article 34, to see if the town will vote to authorize the municipal officers to dispose of tax-acquired property via quitclaim deed, either by A, offering the property to the former owners, or if deceased, to his, her, their heirs, devisees, personal representative for a price equal to all outstanding taxes, interest, fees, and costs, or B, using the process authorized by Title 36 MRS, Section 943C, provided that the former owner does not request that process, or the board is unable to list or sell the property as required by Section 943C. The board may sell the property through a competitive sealed bid process in which a notice advertising sale of the property shall be published at least twice in the newspaper of general circulation in the county. For sales other than to the former owner, excess sale proceeds as defined in Title 36 MRS, Section 943C, shall be returned to the former owner. No select board member during the term of his or her office may acquire from the town any interest in real estate acquired by the town on account of non-payment of taxes unless the owner of record at the time of the foreclosure was the select board, the select person, or the son, daughter, spouse, parent of the select person. I hear a motion?
Motion to accept it as written.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
It's the wrong section in the statutes.
Yep.
It was nine.
Section specified in here only applies to homesteads of those persons 65 years or older.
And I sent her that correction.
Yep. The correct statute.
It was 949, I believe.
949.
Emailed that.
Therefore, this ought not pass, since we can't change it.
Right.
Not for anything, but I have trouble. Does a newspaper of general circulation in the county?
Yeah, but that's the way even the statutes specify it, so there's,
But we don't have newspapers anymore.
what can I say?
The Portland newspaper is not in our county. It's not in our county. But this is the wrong, and they were told.
Yeah, because I emailed it, and actually Jennifer acknowledged receiving the email at the last selectman meeting.
Yep.
Yeah,
And she thanked you during the meeting for sending that.
yeah.
So there was acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But it's wrong, so therefore we have to vote it down.
We have to vote it down. We can't
We can't
vote
accept
it
this.
as written.
Correct.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
Is that 6-0 ought not pass?
06. Come on, Charlie. Be
Well, we
positive.
have 5-1 ought not pass, so
All right, I will,
Design.
So how are you recording that? I just want to know.
when I send the email, I'm gonna, it's 6-0 ought not pass.
okay.
6-0 ought not pass, correct.
That's how I'm recording it.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Because that's what's going to be in our minutes.
And when I,
And the reason why is
is the wrong statute.
the wrong statute is
Cited. That was the only thing I found in that. Anyone
Right.
else?
Leslie, this is the one you pointed out last year you had a problem with, right, when the Supreme Court decided you can't do what we were doing,
Yeah.
basically, with those funds.
Yeah.
Remember that, Joe?
Correct, no, that's correct. It was a matter of timing.
Well,
That was a judgment call or whatever. on the
They
part of the
weren't
board.
inclined to change that anyway.
So,
Because Tom had gotten up and said that he was going to follow Maine state law rather than the US Supreme Court.
That's probably not a good idea.
not with the supremacy clause, no.
So when, and initially, when we got the first draft of the articles, it was still saying the balance going to
Like last year.
undesignated fund like last year, yeah. So we flagged that, and I gave the wrong citation number in the statute, and then Charlie corrected me, and I resent the correct one.
That's all right.
So,
And it was acknowledged.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, okay. 35.
To see if the town will vote to have real estate and property taxes first payment come due on October 15th, 2024, and the second payment on April 15th, 2025. Interest to be charged at 8.5% on all taxes paid after October 15th, 2024, and April 15th, 2025. And interest on abated taxes to be paid by the town at 8.5% pursuing to 36 MRSA 506A, and to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of the taxes before the tax commitment with no interest.
So what's changed?
4% to 8.5%. They're going to the maximum allowable.
Oh, good. And there's no leeway either, it's like the next day, you're,
Correct? All right, can I have a motion?
Motion to
Motion.
accept as written.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that 8.5% on a daily basis?
Per annum. It's not daily compounding,
Okay.
per statute anyway, it just doesn't really stop.
It's per annum.
They're referencing the statute, so,
Right, I can only assume that that's what they mean, and that's dangerous to assume.
any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, Joyce?
No, I just did it, and Charlie did it. Joe?
All right, 36, Article 36, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to make application for and execute any documents related to any grant or donation, to accept any such grants or donations or any fees, and appropriate such funds for their designated use, so long as they do not require matching funds or encumber the town in any way. The treasurer shall be notified of any grant application, and a copy shall be kept on file in the treasurer's office. To further see if the town will vote to accept revenues received from MEMA/FEMA claims during the upcoming fiscal year into the Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund, and to vote to accept any and all funds received from the state of Maine and the federal government, and appropriate any designated revenues received for their designated use. Said funds are to be appropriated at the discretion of the select board to restore budgets of various departments for expenses incurred during a declared event. The appropriations shall not exceed the expenditures incurred during the declared event.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Well, this is actually convenient, because during the BOS meeting, there was discussion about whether or not to eliminate that disaster reserve fund, and actually here they're making use of it by just funneling everything in there and disperse from it to the appropriate budget item, that was used. So it's actually convenient. They don't have to eliminate or dissolve that fund. That's the only change, that's the only change I see.
So it's just an extra accounting
It's a
transaction.
line.
Correct.
That's it.
It's an
Yeah.
internal accounting issue.
So maybe next year it'll just go in the, yeah,
Yeah.
anyway. Any other discussion?
Well, actually, it makes sense to have a funnel account, because the money goes into there, the treasurer deposits it, and then when the select board gets their bills, they can say, okay, well, this so much has to
So
go
they
to
can
this
track
account.
it.
So it's an easier way to track it than it just going from the federal agents, from FEMA or whoever, or Maine, you know, and just getting funneled, and then you've lost track of where that money came from. So I think this is a wise idea.
Anything else? All in favor? All opposed?
To see if the town will vote to carry forward the following fund balances and allow the balance carried forward to be appropriated to the designated departments for the ensuing year. And I think, APAT Capital Equipment Fund, Cemetery Committee Funds, Earned Paid Leave Fund, Forestry and Conservation Committee Fund, Forestry Reserve Fund, LRAP Fund, Local Road Assistance Program funds are restricted state funds. Also to authorize the town to carry forward but not appropriate unless appropriated in other articles the following fund balances. Ambulance Reserve Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Dams Capital Improvement Fund, Fire Department Capital Fund, Recreation Capital Improvement Fund, and American Rescue Plan Acts funds. All other unexpended appropriations and reserves to lapse into the municipal unassigned fund balance. Unexpended school balances will remain in the school fund. Do you want this other, for informational purposes only?
I think we can read through them. We are pretty mad. Well, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, Mary Grant, Field Assistance Donation Fund, Fire Department Grants, Donations, Scholarships Fund, Lincoln Schoolhouse Donations, MEHAF Grant Funds, Statutory Private Road Association Reserve, Statutory Bridge Culvert Capital Improvement Reserve, Statutory Town Hall Parking Lot Capital Reserve. All of these reserved accounts, I have requested the current balances on them that we haven't gotten yet, so I will follow up with Jennifer to make sure that we get these fund balances.
Is the Neighbors Helping Neighbors, is that a town,
Yes.
out of the town hall? Yeah.
It's, yeah. I mean, it's run through the town books. They collect money at the window for it. They'll do things where they'll round up a transaction, so, yeah, it's a town.
You know what, it's helping people in need, or?
Yeah.
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 Does it take the place of what, like a welfare unit type of thing?
No, it doesn't, no.
No?
No, it's just something in addition.
Leslie?
Yes.
Last year, if I remember, when we were at this point, if the information we needed wasn't available when we were doing this, we voted it down.
Right. And we can still do that.
Okay,
We can still do that, yeah.
it should be. But anyway, that's what we did last year.
There were a couple of items that we did find there that have been removed, which is the West Shore Drive Fund and the
ARPA, wasn't it?
reval. There's the revaluation. ARPA's on there. What I asked for was, when do the funds expire? Because they expire at some point, and I thought it was 2024. So I wanted to know what the balance was, when the funds expire, and what was gonna happen to the funds once it did, if it needed to go back to the federal government, or what, and we don't have that yet.
So, how do we vote on this now?
Well, do we have a motion yet?
Make a motion to accept the article as written.
Second?
Second.
That's, how do you guys, what are your thoughts as to how to do this? Since we don't have the,
We don't
get
have
fund
the-
balances.
Since we haven't received all the information to make an informed decision, I would say no.
It worked last year.
Carrying, yeah, it did.
Sort of.
I mean, they're gonna do what they want anyway, but,
Yeah.
but how do you vote on something with?
As devil's advocate, what we're doing is, all we're doing is carrying forward the following fund balances. We're not doing anything with it, so we're not appropriating anything, we're not raising money.
Well, then it comes down to, is the information you asked for pertinent to voting on this then?
Is it pertinent?
Is it absolutely necessary to have that, or was that just a nice bit of information?
I think we should have all of the information relating to the finances, which is why we asked for it. Is it pertinent? I mean, is it a critical piece of knowledge? Probably not.
Of the six funds here that they're looking to carry forward and keep in their pockets, they're all pretty small. APAT is probably the largest one for capital improvements that I saw in the budget this year. So they're all pretty small items.
Those were the budgets. These are reserve funds, so
Right.
they're different.
Right.
Yeah, but his
didn't-
point is right.
Yeah.
But this is all carried over money.
Right, it's all carried,
It's not
and that's what I
like
said,
this.
it's not, we're not raising money, we're
Right.
not, all we're doing is saying, it's okay to keep it in that fund rather than going to undesignated funds, is really what this article is doing.
Well,
And some of them, like the, Article 43, the Statutory Private Road Association Reserve, that's a statutory reserve that has to stay there.
It seems like, based on the way it's written, and like you just pointed out, all it's really saying, that not knowing what the balances are is technically irrelevant,
well, here's
or possibly.
Possibly.
Here's the, this is the numbers from 2022. The capital improvement fund was 33,574. The rec department was 29,404. Bridge culvert at that time was 100,000,
Which was.
which was,
Yeah,
but that was a year ago, okay?
2 years ago. wasn't it?
I'm sorry, that was 2 years ago. It all changed, but if you just look at those, when we looked at all money that was in capital funds in '22, okay? It was 846,000 that were in capital accounts of somehow,
Can I see that for really quick?
with reserves over $1 million. And you want to know how? And why we were taxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't those dollar amounts that they're wanting to carry over be part of this year's budget? So let's say, for example, just hypothetically, you got $15,000 to be carried over, or they want to carry over. You submit a budget and you say you want 30,000.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you have this 15,000 here that's gonna be carried over,
That's
technically, you're now having $45,000 that you can work with.
right.
So that's what I'm saying, shouldn't that 15,000 be part of your dollar figure that you're
No, it's a capital.
bringing in for the year?
Aren't these capital funds?
But all of the funds that you're mentioning now, Joyce, are
Or reserve,
informational purposes.
right,
The funds at the top are what we're looking at.
right.
The other ones we have no control over. So it's just these 6 at the top, the way I'm reading this article, that we are looking at.
Well, they're informational as long as there's not a budget item somewhere else that's requesting.
As long as there's
requesting
something,
us
not
to
That's not
something else.
here.
appropriate.
But that's not here.
Right, but you need to have the information
But you
somewhere.
need to know, because if it's someplace else,
Well, LRAP comes from the state, those are, and those are committed, you don't have to use those for certain things, so the town has.
Restricted, you mean?
they're restricted.
Earned paid leave fund is mandated by the state. APAC, capital equipment, I'm not sure what that would, what would fall in that.
APAC,
Camera, sound. Cameras, sound, whatever
Equipment.
necessary.
Yeah, so I mean, it's,
yeah, that room,
they did talk about remember last week, they talked about consolidating some of these ones in the second column with the ambulance and the fire department.
yep,
They talked about combining them.
right.
And then I thought that they decided not to for this year. I thought that was Tom's decision, was
Yeah.
finally was
So
not
they
to.
did discuss that.
Right, they did.
The dam capital improvement fund,
That's something every year, you know?
yeah.
I just, this thing crawling into my head. If some of these things, we don't have the information, and if we go the way we have, we're gonna vote it down. But I would like to be able to say, if you can give us the information we need Wednesday night, we're gonna be here. And we can vote on these 2, 3 articles we voted down because we didn't have information on Wednesday night, because that saves us, it keeps us, our timeline a lot better. I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, do we want to spend because people are overworked and, any multitude of reasons, we don't have certain information. If we can get it in the next day and a half, we can vote.
Let's say, like right now, if you go to the town meeting, right, and the Warrant and Finance Committee votes it down 6-0, we know why. So one of us gets up and tells the town that we didn't have the information we needed because that's the only explanation of why we did it.
Right.
How does that go over? I mean,
Well, if Warrant and Finance doesn't know, and
that's what we'd have to do.
well, that is exactly what we have to do. But what does, is that good for the town? Is that not good for the town? We want to do what's best for the town always. I mean, what's a positive effect on the town? People are going to say, you don't know where the money, why don't you know where the money is? There's going to be a Donnybrook.
Carrying over these fund balances, a couple of them, I wasn't hearing very well. Some of those are still a serious amount of money.
Yeah.
For example, the parking lot over here. We've had that sitting there for 2 years, 65,000, and then we appropriated another 10,000 last year for it. The rec, 2 years ago, we appropriated 40,000 for capital improvement, and then last year we appropriated another 40, and they bought a shed. So that's probably $65,000, $70,000. And I think myself personally, as a taxpayer, these funds are very pertinent to a recommendation on this, because it's money that we've appropriated in the past, is just sitting there, and you're talking honestly several $100,000s.
Yep.
And I don't see how you can make a recommendation on anything without knowing what the dollar amounts are, because what you guys are, you're making two recommendations. You're making one on the warrant, and you're making one on the financial part of the warrant.
And a lot of these things are the cart before the horse.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
they're appropriating money for something that isn't there.
It just doesn't get done.
There's no scope of work in it.
And the other thing, when you mentioned, Joyce, about Wednesday, my opinion is on that you can't do that for the simple reason you have to post the finance meeting, and you won't be able to do that in a 2-day thing. So anything that you might want to re-look at, if you get the information, I would suggest you have a warrant finance meeting scheduled for
Yep.
27th, and you can make all your recommendations on that, which is in plenty of time for the board of selectmen. Thank you.
That's not the 10-day notice for a public meeting.
Sorry?
That's not the 10-day notice for a public meeting.
No, that's,
You already have it, you already,
7 days for a meeting.
but you've already set the meeting on the 27th.
no,
Yeah.
we didn't.
You said you were.
11th.
Sorry, the 11th.
March 11th.
No, I'm talking about when you meet with the school,
When we meet with the school.
Oh, I got, that's the 29th.
or the 29th, I'm sorry. So that meeting's already posted and it's been set.
Is it 7 or 10 days, Leslie?
10.
It's 10 days, unless they give us a waiver.
Unless,
on that.
yeah, because I know
They
we've
they
done
have
7 days.
when they needed us to do something, they have
Oh, yeah.
allowed us to do the 7 days.
Yeah.
But Dennis, so that's not a problem to, you know, incorporate
It's your
any
meeting.
changes?
You guys set the agenda.
Okay.
If the stuff isn't ready, it isn't ready.
Right.
You guys are trying to do this according to the schedule that they gave you.
Yep.
And if they don't have all the information to you, that's not on you guys.
Last year, we,
All right, so what I'm gonna suggest we do is we go ahead and take the vote. And if we, that way it's done.
Yep.
If we get the information that we need, then we can throw that at the end after the school budget.
And just reconsider. That's
Yeah.
all.
but we're gonna vote on it now.
We'll go vote on it now, yeah. So that
Yeah.
way our work is done. And then if they choose to give us the information that we need,
We'll
then
reconsider.
we can reconsider. Does everyone think that that's a good plan?
Joe?
John? Charlie?
John's been shaking his head
Okay.
all along. Good. Yeah.
All right. So, all in favor of passing this? All opposed?
So what was that? That was 6-0 ought not pass?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this next one is a goodie.
So you're happy by that, Charlie?
I love discontinuities.
Like a piece of copper.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
You're up.
I'm up?
You're up.
Yeah.
Article 38, to see if the town will vote to dispense to FEMA Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund into the unassigned fund balance and to dissolve the reserve account.
Can I have a motion?
I move, yeah, right, as
Second.
written.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Sure.
Yeah,
All right, now if we skip back to Article 36 of the warrant that we're considering,
yeah.
it says to move all of these funds, monies into the Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund. Now, in Article 38, we're saying, get rid of, dissolve the Emergency Disaster Reserve Fund.
Where's the money gonna go?
We're gonna burn it, or what?
Big bamboo, man, big bamboo.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor, right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay, all right. So,
How much money's in there?
Oh my God.
It's a good point.
we don't know.
Good point, we don't know.
No.
Charlie's already said that he thought 36 was a good idea.
Well, it makes sense to me, but then they go and they dissolve the fund
Yeah.
2 articles later. It's like,
You
It
know,
has to go.
right.
you know where it says, unless monies are appropriated or further down, they're telling us what to look for, okay?
So a year ago, there was $31,060 in the FEMA account. Plus whatever other funds
Came in,
came in.
yeah.
I think this is a housekeeping situation, isn't it?
We'll read 36 and then go back and read 38.
Well, yeah, so
What do they mean?
I mean, if you wanted to get rid of it, you could do all this in one article. We don't write articles, so that's okay, I can deal with that. But
if there's any additional funds coming in from FEMA, it's gonna be put into this account. the
Which account?
claims, This account, and then they're gonna close it out during the year at some point in time.
well, they gotta close that out at the beginning of the fiscal year. At the end of the fiscal year, then. No, it's the beginning of the fiscal year, because that's when this warrant takes effect.
This takes effect July
And it's gonna be
1st.
gone. So
That's gonna be
there'll be
gone.
there'll be nowhere to put those monies that come in
After July
to
1st.
track.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So. All in favor? All opposed?
And the reason that we oppose,
It's, because,
Article 36.
Article 36,
all right, so we're clear on it. okay.
conflict. And then we can explain that, why we said no.
So that means they have to fix one or both of these 2 articles,
Yeah,
obviously.
but once 36 is voted on,
Right.
it's done, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do like Charlie just said, and say, oh, sorry, wait a second. We have Article 38 now, forget about 36. So, I don't understand why that's here after we just voted on
It was
keeping that
probably,
brain fart.
yeah, I'll say.
I say that on
I'll say oversight, for lack of a better word.
You could probably say it at the town meeting.
You can edit that, right?
No, don't edit it.
No, just because you said
It
brain
adds
smart.
seasoning to the dialogue, I like it.
Okay,
Okay, so
39.
we're, 39.
Who's next?
Joe?
I'll read it. I'll take your turn.
All right.
Article 39, to see if the town will vote to appropriate fiscal year 24-25 anticipated municipal revenues from the categories listed below and to use funds from the municipal unassigned fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation during the tax commitment. Revenue categories are excise tax, interest and penalties, plumbing and building permits, tree growth reimbursement, town animal fees,
Titular?
Vicular licenses, vital records, agent fees, investment earnings, ambulance service fees, recycling returns, and miscellaneous non-restricted state revenue not previously appropriated in other articles.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve it as written.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Do we know how much money that is?
No. No, there's no way to know how many people are gonna, hold building permits or, register, register cars or,
Oh, I mean, excise tax is probably flat year to year, just a little growth.
Actually, it varies quite a bit. It's amazing.
So the anticipated revenues are 450,110.
Yeah.
But it changed one year by something like $78,000 or $87,000, you know, just for vehicle registration, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it can fluctuate.
There's no way to know to the dollar what that's gonna be, or... Anything else?
Did we vote?
No, not yet. We're going to right now. All in favor? All opposed?
Abstain.
You're abstaining?
Yeah. Tell me again what we have.
501.
Okay.
Can you tell us why?
Yeah, because I wasn't through thinking about it. No, I was looking for other things I was thinking about, other monies we bring in. And I didn't think I saw it there. When they're talking about titular licenses, that's a license for doing business.
They're selling liquor.
That's the liquor licenses.
Alcohol license.
Alcohol license, yeah, it's for doing business of some kind. Vital records, say, what about,
Tree growth reimbursements, that's just what the town gets back from the state.
yeah, but what?
Tree growth.
Right, oh, that's a joke. You know, the different licenses, and we're giving some of that away, I know. We give some of it back to the, snowmobile people,
There's a,
and that's coming up, I'm sure.
yeah, that's the last article.
Right, but, you know, the dog licenses, and, I mean, it's probably not a lot of money, but, you know,
But those funds aren't even included in the revenue categories for snowmobile. That's separate
It's a separate-
snowmobile registration.
yeah. But, where's the car registrations, or
That's excise
boat
tax.
registrations, where's that
That's
stuff?
excise tax.
That's excise,
Isn't
all
that
excise?
excise tax?
All excise
Yeah.
tax?
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, it just didn't click with me, that's all. I mean, I can change it if you want. Doesn't
that's
bother me one way or the other.
Right, Article 40?
Call it a brain fart, you know?
Well, you can make a motion to reconsider.
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
John?
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,110,869 for wages and operational expenses, employer costs of general government. General administration, $277,754. Assessing, $42,000. Municipal management, $450,110. Finance, $160,211. Planning and land use, $180,794.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, first thing that pops up, because I just haven't been able to see where the change in the funds were, but in the last warrant draft that we received, this appropriation was supposed to be for $1,102,215, so there's a variance of $8,650, and I just don't see where it's coming from. What jumped? What went up?
And that total number matches what was on the proposed budget.
No,
I'm looking at it.
that's what I just saw too. Right?
Same
Yeah.
number, yeah.
Yeah,
Under total general government, it's the same number. 1,110,869.
you on page 2?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Page 2?
Yeah, bottom of page 2, general government. The very bottom.
I've got $1,100,131, which is different.
Is that, are you reading today's budget that we
No,
just
I'm
got?
looking at the proposed 24-25 line item, total general government.
What's the date of what you're looking at? Is it 220?
2.9, I don't have a 220.
Yeah, well, 220 matches this.
Right, like,
All right,
Oh, is this what was just handed out?
it's in, I'm looking at the budget from 2.9, and it looks like the difference is in,
how about 220?
we have 220.
Yeah.
I'm matching 220 and 2.9
Okay,
is what I'm doing.
all right, but what's it saying on this?
It's saying that on the 220, it's their municipal management is 450,110. On 2.9, it was 439,372.
Say the numbers again, please. 450,
450,111 is
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
And
we
then
got that
on
one.
2.9, municipal management was 439,372. So I'm looking to see if I can quickly see where,
Okay, so,
Land
oh,
use.
they put in Goat Hill. Goat Hill's 500. And they told us about this in our last email.
but Goat Hill was in the 2.9 budget
Where do you see it?
for 500.
Oh, was it?
Yep,
Okay. So that wasn't it.
$10,000, computer repair maintenance.
They upped it, right?
They increased it, oh, I'm losing it again. They dropped they increased computer repair maintenance by $3,500. And they also increased dues and membership from 500 to 2,500, so that's another $2,000.
It was 2,500.
So that's 5.5K right there. And then they also increased longevity employee benefits. No, they dropped that by $5,534. No, that was from one year to the next, sorry. Well, I don't see where the other change is. So,
It's under computer maintenance.
yeah, so it was a drop a drop on commuter maintenance.
No, they increased it.
Increase.
They increased it from 6,000 to 16,738. So they increased it over $10,000.
And that's, on the 20th, correct?
Yeah, the 20th is the
That's
most
the
recent one.
most recent one. So $13,000, right?
And you got the computer repair and maintenance
Yeah,
went up.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
And what was the first one? The 3,500? That was, what line was that?
No, I was reading it wrong.
Okay.
I had dues and membership, but that's the same, that didn't change between the two budgets. The only thing that changed was that interest increase of the 10,738.
Okay, so that was,
That dropped, right?
no, it increased.
No,
The
increase.
dues and membership?
No, dues and membership is the same, 2,500.
2,500. Last year it was 7,000. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm looking at, Joyce, what I'm looking at is
45110, that accounts
from
for it
one
right
budget
there.
to another that we were given.
Yeah.
I'm not
but
looking at
I'm-
last year.
I know, no, I'm looking at this one, which is 220, and what they've got on here. That's what we've got to work
Well,
on.
that accounts for the difference between those two.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure why they increased the, that one line item by almost $11,000.
you want to give me that line again?
Computer repair / maintenance.
How about,
That's all of it.
I mean,
That's the difference.
Yeah.
$15,000. And I'm wondering if
Assessing.
that's just a mistake. It's so crazy.
And according to her email, she said, a couple budget items that changed since we last spoke. Will Langley did lower the Public Works building from 11,000 to 7,000. The information technology line that was accidentally omitted was re-entered, as well as a small stipend for Goat Hill and Forest / Conservation.
But the $500 for Goat Hill was already in there.
Yeah. What about the Forest and Conservation? No, I know they do.
Forester, yeah.
And it's in this one, but is it in here? It was in the 2.9 also.
right, so for total general government, if all you do is add in the 10,738,
Matches.
it matches up to the 1,110,869.
So I know they want to buy,
So the only one that really changed is the municipal management budget.
Yeah, because I compared them to the prior budget we were given.
So my question is, what exactly changed that we increased that by $10,000? What happened to the computers? We decided to get all new computers?
as far as I know, they're pretty outdated.
They talked about getting all new computers at a meeting. I mean, and they're older than old, I guess.
Yeah.
And they did talk to you about that when you met
Absolutely.
with them.
I met with them and they absolutely,
Did they indicate how much money they were thinking at that time?
they were
Do you remember?
talking, they were talking in general, maybe like $5,000 to $7,000 per computer.
Per computer?
Well, by the time you get the computer and then you get everything you need on it. And that was just, you know,
What are we getting, CAD stations?
conversation.
Servers in Italy?
I mean, my God,
No, they'd be in India.
what sort of high-level computing do we do here?
I don't know.
It's to enter the road data.
That must be it.
Yeah.
You can do that on my broken laptop.
You use it with an
Good.
abacus, actually.
Good memory, Bill.
You want,
I get lucky sometimes.
They've already entered that into the roads stuff,
Yeah.
but it get lost.
I mean,
This guy-
we can go and buy a high-end computer from Dell, a desktop, for $2,000.
of course you can.
Easy.
We're
that's not-
already paying for software.
That's,
I don't understand this.
that's not, and I know you can buy that because
Well,
we
unless you look
recently.
at the new position that's being put in as far as a warrant of financial.
Nope, that's in there.
That's in there. That's in there.
Well,
That's
as far as the
not,
computer
that's
sure.
that's not part of the discrepancy that we're talking about.
The,
Maybe some software updates.
exactly,
The finance director position is in the budget, there's no change.
right,
Right,
no, but
does
we're
that
talking
include the computer
computers.
form?
There's software
software?
updates, you know, stuff like that.
That's a fancy computer, 10K.
Some of those software programs are expensive too.
We have to license.
My wife's got a software program that's over $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. Buck has one
Are we
for
using it
his
here?
work, that's the same thing.
Not yet. I'm gonna start selling it.
Well, I think they're moving some of the accounting off from the Mark Roy's system. They had to do some updates, didn't they?
Yeah,
Oh, is that 5,000 to 7,000 each,
yeah.
right? That's nice.
And how many computers do we think we have here? Just off the top of your head.
4, 5, 6 anyways.
Couple of
I'd say.
downstairs, two
We've got,
downstairs.
there's at least 2 downstairs.
Downstairs.
Last I know, there were actually 3
Is
downstairs.
it 3?
So there'd be
3
8
downstairs.
or 9.
Probably, that's much closer.
I was just calling in the office, I wasn't counting downstairs.
I don't think it's inappropriate to ask, for reconciliation.
Right.
They changed it on the budget on us and, outline what you're buying.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for, I don't care what you, each, that's a lot of money.
First of all,
First of all, if you get a software license, you
first of all,
doubt anything here costs anywhere near that.
look, we talked months ago, and it was conversation we were having, so we're kind of wasting a lot of time talking on something we really don't know 100% about. And to have a conversation saying, and you know very well, Jen will look at you and tell you, she either doesn't know right now, which is the truth, or she's talked to computer experts, and they need to update this, they need to update that, they need software updates. I would hope they have and I know how to turn a computer on, okay? Now you know my exact,
Your experience.
thank you, yes. I'm a real geek about it. That their safety, or whatever it is that you call it, is going to be a little more than my Norton, whatever it is. I have to keep my computer safe, you know?
Antivirus.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think,
It's adding 1% to the to that.
right,
to their
it's
budget.
kind of like, if we want to know, we'll ask, but move on.
I know it's $10,000, but I'm going to speak Phil's language and say it's only 1%.
Yeah, but let's find out why there's a discrepancy, bottom line. We're not going to figure it out, let's just ask.
As far as the article, the main number of 1110869 matches
It does.
the proposed budget of 220, the date of 220. Same number,
Right.
which is what we're voting on.
But it's different from what we had discussed previously with the Board of Selectmen, the treasurer, and the administrator. So the question, I think, is reasonable to ask what changed in a week.
So this is another one of those where we don't have the information, and last year we voted down. We did. Right? Every time.
Just another one that you want to put off till next Thursday.
Well, we're not gonna put it off, we're gonna vote,
Okay.
and then if we get the information, we'll reconsider. We can do that.
Yeah, we did it with 37, right? Did the same thing. So.
No, that was 38.
38.
38.
No, that wasn't
No,
the
it was
one, that no,
37.
that wasn't.
No.
It's 37. Yeah.
38 is gonna go bye-bye, maybe.
37 and 38 ought not pass, the two of them.
Yeah, 37 we will, is the
Oh,
one
yeah,
I
well, there
had
was a
marked
bunch of
that we would
information missing.
reconsider.
Right,
Right.
That was the one with the fund balances.
right, fund balance is missing.
This is very similar.
Okay, I think we're waiting for a vote on this, aren't
Yeah.
we? Yeah.
All right, so, any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? John?
Abstain.
Okay.
501.
Ought not pass.
Yeah. 5-0.
Reconsider with info on the 10, what is it? The 10,738
10,738
discrepancy.
for computers, yeah.
All right,
Leslie,
yes.
I would just like to publicly thank the 8 people on this committee for the work and stuff that they've done this year. I think they're doing a great job. And if we really get really tight with computers, I know everything here, the school sells the reconditioned ones for $25 each. But I'm pretty sure, being a department of the town, that probably the school would just give them to them.
Go away.
Just something that, have a good night.
Yeah, thank you,
Good night,
Dennis.
Dennis.
All right, Article 41.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,087,039 for wages and operational expenses for public safety. Fire Department, $947,501. Animal Control, $21,141. Other public safety, $118,397. And those numbers do match the 220 proposed budget. That's the only thing I can confirm right now.
The one that came out 220, the one that came out at the last warrant rather,
Yeah,
there's a difference of, what does that come out to, about $30,000.
in total, 30,000.
Previous warrant, the draft was $947,501, which is what the fire department budget is, but now we group these other things in there, so I don't know. I have to look up animal control.
Wait a
Animal
minute.
control is this,
Oh, God.
Communications.
21,141.
21,140, okay, that didn't change.
141, yeah.
Other public safety, what is other public safety?
other public safety would be, let me see. The fire department's the same, right?
Yes.
The fire department stayed the same.
Other public safety was the street lights, communications, contract deputy, and EMA director, and it totaled up to only 118.
Okay,
The totals up to the 118?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah, okay.
good enough.
You believe me, right, Charlie?
Pardon?
You
You
believe me,
feeling
right?
okay? I agree
What
with
did they
that.
do with the sheriff's car? Someone said they didn't appropriate the money for the car.
We didn't, I don't believe we did.
They're not doing any cars.
No, the sheriff's, the deputy's car?
The
Yeah.
deputy's car. The one we paid,
Yeah, I know, we paid for, right?
We paid half of it.
you know.
So what happened to it?
Oh, so we don't have to contribute anything to the maintenance of that? Is that correct? We do, correct? Stupid question, huh?
The county uses it too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's, I've never seen the contract.
They use that building over there, too.
Yeah, well, I know that. I've never seen the contract, so I don't know exactly what's in the contract and who's responsible for what, other than the salary.
I imagine it'd be freedom of information, that's when it, see the contract.
Yeah, or they could ask for it. Do you want it?
Who was asking for the forestry?
It would be nice to know what happened to it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know, you know.
Did we get anything back on it, or we just gave it away, a grant?
Oh, we still have a deputy.
But the vehicle, it's no longer ours?
I
Oh, they
don't
use
know.
it. No.
I don't know.
No, they use it supposedly 20 hours what here and 20 hours in Shapley.
Right.
But there's a lot more than other times in the week. They use it for other things too.
Like I said, I don't know all of the ins and outs of that.
Right.
And there's nothing in the budget about the vehicle.
No, I've gone through every page.
Yeah, you'd have to find the contract, right? If that's how they did it.
No. If it's not in the budget, they can't spend any money on it.
Is it, what about under milk? You know, gasoline for cars and stuff like that? Could they put it together?
I don't
Yeah.
believe they did.
It's nice.
I mean, the only one that would have that would be the fire department, because we pay mileage to everyone else.
But that's what I mean.
But there's no mileage.
Well, I know he gets his gas at Boonies.
So there's nothing in here about the car.
Nope.
Hey, who's our, I know it's, I've asked a question before. Who's the deputy CEO? Still Mike?
Yes,
Thank you.
well, he was the other night.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other discussion? You guys ready to vote? All in favor? 6-0?
Who made the motion?
That was a while ago.
I know.
I'll take credit. I don't care.
Did you
I'll give you a
second?
second.
Okay. All right.
Don't look at the tape.
42. And you don't have to read all those numbers.
To see if the town will vote to pay wages and equipment for repair and maintenance of public ways according to the following schedule. These are rates by the hour.
I move motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, the rates are the same from last year. There was discussion about, next year going to state rates. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So, a lot of this will go away. So the only thing that changed in this article from last year was the wages for the road commissioner.
That's the one that went by $1 or something, $1.50?
That was the gas, wasn't it? I
No,
bucketed that.
that's the, yeah.
Yeah.
For the cost of operations, if the fuel prices go up to and including $5 a gallon, the town of Acton will pay an additional $1 per hour for each 25-cent increase per gallon for equipment utilizing diesel fuel. This is based on the fuel price at Boonies and Shapley on each Sunday. Such price will determine the fuel allowance for the following week's warrant. We have, any discussion?
Yeah, didn't it? Page 20. Page 20.
That out.
Well, there was a change between the 2.9 budget and the
220.
220.
Yep.
2.9.
What part, Charlie?
Because the previous warrant was, the commissioner was 3371 and now it's 3481.
Where do you see that?
That's what I'm looking for. It's in here.
Because I thought the number looked the same.
Yeah, I can't find it right now.
Yeah, it's right here. It's on page 5 of...
Yeah, page 5 was
we got last
3371,
week, 3371.
and now it's 3481. So it's just a dollar change,
$1.10.
$1.10, sorry.
Are you looking at 2.9 or 2.20?
No, looking at the last warrant, the draft warrant that we received
The draft one.
Okay.
But that's,
on
that's,
212.
that's not pay, that's a deduction in what he's getting, if the equipment is his.
Yeah, if he's using his equipment.
Right. Yeah, so that number actually went up, which is costing the town less. My math.
I think it's old
If he's operating a
math,
piece of
too.
equipment, but if he's
All the
not
dollar
operating a
amount
piece of equipment.
match on the budget.
$1.10, yeah.
They do match.
$1.10 is trivial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it saves the town.
but it saves the town.
Right.
And it could have been a typo on the draft, on the first one.
Could have been.
So, yeah, all right. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, Article 43.
See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $435,235 for public works.
Why is the dam in there?
Page 9.
Oh, here's the transfer station.
Thanks, Ray.
Numbers do match the 220 budget.
Right.
Yeah, you got 220. But if we had the dam capital way back when as well,
That was the reserve
the
fund.
reserve fund, which was, I think the dam was around 12,000 in there.
Yeah, 12,130 in the old warrant,
So
so that stayed the
It's the
same.
same.
that stayed the same.
Transfer station, I believe, stayed the same.
That's what I'm trying to find. 406, 67, that stayed the same.
And then the public works,
Okay, this is the one where we had that question about that $11,000.
Yeah, exactly.
and Will was gonna lower it to, was gonna lower it 3,000. So he lowered it down to 7.
Okay, on the warrant, what is it?
On the warrant, it's 17,038.
And he was gonna lower it to,
That's what that should have been, including that lowering.
Well, the public
Which
works
is
building
reflected
was
on the
$21,038.
Page 6 at the bottom. It went from 11, last year 11,000 to 7,000. Building and grounds repair and maintenance.
we asked him,
So change
building
that
grounds
to
and
9.
maintenance, 7,000.
So it changed to 7,000 from 11,000. So
Right.
it's a drop of 4K.
Right, so why is it 17 this year?
Well, because it's down from 21,038, which is what the other budget was.
That's right, that's
So that
right.
is $4,000.
Yeah.
Which is what Jennifer had emailed us and said that
That's
they
right,
were doing.
that's right.
Yeah.
That all adds up.
Do you have a, yes, you got,
Sorry?
we have a motion, right?
We have a motion.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $75,762 and to appropriate $25,000 from the state LRAP funds for District 1 Road Department. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the select board to be expended as follows. Summer maintenance, $100,762. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 60, 45.
Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $92,917 and to appropriate $25,000 from the LRAP funds for District 2 Road Department. Said funds to be distributed after project list, including line item budgeted, has been presented to the select board to be expended as follows. Summer maintenance, $112,917, Flat Ground Road, $5,000. Is there a,
Make a motion to accept article as written.
So John has to do this.
John have to do that, sorry.
I have to do that?
You're up, man, because
Yeah, because Leslie's,
Chair's
you do.
temporary.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, is there a motion to, on Article 45?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Accept the article as written.
Second by Charlie.
Second it.
All right, discussion?
Well done.
Why do you
All in
always look at me
favor?
like I'm in trouble?
Yeah, I wonder why.
She's been doing that to me.
Because you give me the blues sometimes.
I got a guilty conscience or something, I don't know.
She knows I'm getting
All in
over a
favor?
cold, you know, and she's sort of,
It's good to confess, Charlie.
Yeah, don't confess anything, we're on TV. Article 46, sir.
Article 46, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $349,747 for the District 1 and District 2 winter maintenance and sand salt stockpile. We have District 1 winter maintenance for $96,811. And District 2 winter maintenance for $96,811. And the sand salt stockpile, $156,125.
That's different what's on the budget, page 6, mineral sand salt, looking at 136,103.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's just for the sand and salt. Total budget line is 156, 125. The stockpile includes somebody to run it, pay them.
Right, yeah.
load it and mix it, right? So
Yep.
it says the loading and
Yep.
mixing, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Is that,
The only
We
one
went
that
over that
changed,
last week.
the only one that I see that changed was the District 1 winter maintenance. It went from 96,642 on the draft warrant to the 96,811.
I think you just evened them out by the looks of it.
So what changed is my question.
Whiz?
page 5. Winter.
42, so 4.
District 1. No. that. 6. 811. District 2, winter. 811.
You see the matchup.
Okay, so there's $1,000 more for road equipment rental. Or almost 1,000. What was that? About $200, $90 increase. $110 increase. No, $90.
Just
The
figure out new math or
stockpile
old
on the
math.
budget from 2.9 is the 156, 125. So,
No, that's correct.
That's right, even on the
He's
20.
looking at
And the
District
District 2
1
winter is identical. The only thing that changed was the District 1 winter. It increased by $90. And the only thing that
And
I
they
see that
probably- Oh, uh, 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 uh,
changed was the road equipment rental. It increased by $90. And the only thing that I see that changed was the road equipment rental. It's trivial.
Normally, their budgets were always equal,
Yep, no,
Yeah.
it's trivial.
yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor? Article 47.
To see if the town will vote to establish a reserve account called H Road Reserve Account to raise and appropriate $340,000 to reclaim and pave a portion of H Road from 2978 H Road to 4101 H Road. All funds remaining in this account after the completion of the repair, any funds remaining in this account after the completion of the repair, no later than 6/30/26 shall be returned to the unassigned fund balance, and said reserve account will be dissolved.
They have a motion?
Motion so moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think it's part of a multi-year plan to,
It
It's
is.
a two-year plan
Two-year plan.
Yeah.
for completion.
Well, they're giving them 2 years. Hopefully it'll be done, Will is
year.
hoping it'll be done in 1 year.
it'd be best if it'd be done in 1 year.
Yeah. And that's all dependent on paving, the paving company. So, all right, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, Article 48.
To see if the town will vote to establish a reserve account called County Road Reserve Account to raise and appropriate $433,000 to reclaim and pave 6,100 feet from 246 County Road to Fox's Ridge Road, to include county road intersections. Any funds remaining in this account after the completion of the repair, no later than 6/30/2026, shall be returned to the unassigned fund balance, and said reserve account shall be dissolved.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Discussion.
When it says intersections, how many intersections?
Do you
are
know
we
where that
talking about?
intersection is?
I know where there's an intersection on County Road,
Yeah.
but there's more than one.
There's one called County Cut, yeah,
Right.
and that whole triangular area.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
at the end of Fox's Ridge,
right.
plus driveways,
Well, they're not intersections per se, but,
sort of are.
remember the name of the road, I can't
They'll be
remember
building a berm around the driveways.
It's right off Milton
Yeah.
Mills.
and what about things like
Goes from Milton to.
culverts, stuff like that?
That's a whole different animal.
They do that ahead of time.
They did it ahead of time.
I don't know if they've done it. 'Cause
Isn't that what they were working on this year?
Adam did
was-
do some work on it, but
It was neglected for many years.
Yes,
And it
yeah,
just got
that I remember.
neglected. Been finally played catch up here, and
It's good that that'll finally be taken
I don't
care
know
of.
about anyone else, but I like the idea of the special projects. We know what's being done.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
this, I think this is a really, really good
Yeah,
idea.
it's good to see things,
There was $20,000 for materials and culverts program for that project,
yeah,
inside that dollar amount.
yeah.
No,
And
It's-
raising of the road by X amount,
That's right.
swamp area.
Yeah.
That's gonna take more.
Couple 100,000 yards of gravel.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think it'd be that
For
much.
1,100 yards.
yeah.
And gravel's expensive. Ask me, I know, because we put a lot of gravel on my road
Costs a
this
lot of
year.
money to haul it.
Yeah,
That's where the money is, I mean, and handling it.
The guy who plows our road is very good to us, because he's got that big truck that he does all our hauling.
No, I know, but it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Even with
He
Val doing it, it's expensive. I said, even have Val doing it, it's,
Val does our,
I know, but even with him doing it.
Okay, anyway.
All right,
Good, we need a vote.
all in favor? All opposed?
Thank God, because I had it passed already.
All right, Article
Do it
49.
for the next one.
Hey, we're almost done, guys.
I know. The city of
I'm gonna
raise and
eat before 10.
1,997 for culture and recreation. Recreation Department, 38,822. And public access TV, 33,576. And other culture and recreation, 10,599.
I don't know what that other culture and recreation is.
Can't
Anyone?
even begin to think of what it could be.
I have no idea where it is, and
It's brand new. We've never seen that before.
I know, we've never
It's not-
seen it.
It's not here.
It's a chunk of change.
There's nothing on here.
I haven't seen it.
I looked through it like I was looking through the other thing. There's nothing in here. And unfortunately, I think it opens a door, and
So, we
I
should
don't
probably
like it.
handle this like we did the rest of them.
Yeah.
We vote. If it fails, we get the information we need, we reconsider it at the school.
yep,
Do we have a motion yet?
No, do we have a motion
so
now?
moved.
Second.
We do now. So. All in favor? All opposed?
It's a WTF.
All right, so we're gonna ask what that 10,
10,599.
that's what that is, and then we'll,
Reconsider.
reconsider. Article 50.
Is that you or me?
It's you, Ray.
Oh. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $94,880 for community services. Health and welfare, other services.
So moved.
Is this 92,000 the Red Cross and all?
That's all of the social
That's all of them.
services plus the library. He added
Well,
Is the
that.
library in it, or is
The
it?
library's in
Libraries
in this
there,
line.
yeah.
Well, next year will it be in it, or will it be separate?
I don't know.
No, okay.
I thought it would be separate this year, but then, was that one of Mr. Putting things together?
So we have a second
Sure.
and a,
I didn't hear a second.
Second.
I moved it. John?
discussion.
92,
I still believe that
6.
if you're looking at it from a budgeting standpoint of view, if you look at your own personal budgets, you don't be handing out money to organizations that are not absolutely necessary. And I'm not saying that all these are not absolutely necessary, but you're looking at, I mean, that's the way we handle our budget. What stuff do we cut? So, I just think that that's a lot of money.
Well, I think that it should be turned down only because all of those should be listed. I mean, we went through all the effort of printing out those land use ordinances and everything else. The town folks should have an opportunity to see what they're voting on, so that if at the town meeting they want to reduce the line item because of something, they have the opportunity of knowing what it is that they're spending the money on.
My question, Charlie, is if it's in a group, and someone wanted to lower it, do they necessarily have to pull it from that one particular thing if it's all in a group?
Say that again.
So if it's not a line item.
No, we're voting on it.
So Ray says, Ray, I'm gonna pick on you, because we talked about this.
Right.
Ray says, I don't think that
Such and such
such
should
and
get.
such should get $1,000. Well,
Excuse me.
are the selectmen obligated to take it out of the thing that Ray objected to?
No, I see what you're
They
getting.
take it from anything, or split
Or from
it,
the
you know,
total?
or just reduce everyone's by a little bit.
Oh,
to-
No, I see what
No,
you're saying,
no.
because you have authorization to reduce the dollar amount, but not to change the wording, really. Well, why can't you amend it? Why can't you amend it
You
to
can, well, you
exclude?
can amend it, but because it's not in a line item, it's not specified out.
It doesn't specify, social service A, B, C, F, and G. It says, this is everybody.
Like, what the hell was other?
From my perspective, it's been reviewed by Board of Selectmen, it's been reviewed by us, we've all had input into them. And if you wanted to set these up as separate warrants for every line item, you'll be there forever.
Well, every year, they have been,
They have
every
been
line
separate.
item.
They have been
And
separate.
every,
Maybe
and
that's why people don't go to it.
that's not a bad point at all.
Yeah.
But every year, somebody has stood up and say, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion that we
Group them.
group them and vote,
Yeah.
one
And he
amount. And our moderator
But
has
still-
turned it down.
Okay, so my point is that keep them grouped,
Where's the help in that?
but list them so that the residents or the citizenry of the town know what it is they're voting for. Otherwise,
You
it's
mean know what-
it's just this glob of money.
You know what community services is, you know?
Right, but
It
can
could be
you,
anything. Remember I said
do it-
a Red Cross, the Red Cross
Red Cross is in there.
service?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, some people don't like Red Cross, you know, and-
Right.
and yet it's there,
yeah.
so.
Some people may not like NPR for $100.
Right.
A lot of people don't like it.
But, I think,
I know.
I think what Charlie's saying,
All right, Joe.
I think what Charlie is
Say that too loud though,
saying,
you know, you're in the neighborhood.
I think what Charlie's saying, though, kind of, not like the road, but if you go up to Article 38, just for the following funds are part of, however
They're all of the funds are listed.
and it has, here, Neighbor Help a Neighbor, Mary Grant, Fuel Assistance, blah, blah, blah. And if you go here and you say, list, you have a paragraph listing the, 23, I think is the number we have, that we give to, the Acton Library, the Cornerstone Nurses, NPR, Red Cross, just alphabetically listing them. This is what they are,
There's 19 items,
19, okay,
plus the library.
plus the library. And since it's in there, but that's a suggestion, I don't know if we're beyond that point now or not.
I think we probably are. since
Where
we're
on the
voting.
budget is the health and welfare?
Appears we're past that point.
Health and welfare, that has to be
That's gotta be the health officer.
the health officer, our nurse, and,
It's the health officer stipend
yeah,
and general
someplace.
assistance.
Should there be some sort of a insert describing what these, like, just one,
We can ask them to do
you
that.
know what I'm saying?
No,
No, I think
I think that what
that's a good
they're
idea.
trying to
Consolidated.
they're trying to
stuff
consolidate,
like they did with the accounts, but to me, I mean, I like to see how much
I know,
being
but
spent in each little line.
because they're
right?
consolidated and they're different, I'm playing devil's advocate. Instead of leaving there at 12:30, 1:30, 1:45, we're out sooner. But again, as Richard said when he was here, it doesn't mean one of us can't stand up and say,
This is where the money went.
this is where the money's going. And again, those 19 places can be named.
Because right now, it's all or nothing, right?
Sorry?
It's all or nothing. People don't even know what they're all or nothing in about.
Yeah,
Well, and that's the whole thing, because the library is also included in that.
yeah.
Right.
So if you don't, I mean,
people go 96,000, I'm not voting yes for that.
No.
Because I don't even know what it is.
You can stand up and
Cost too.
say, I would like to amend this to make it $50,000. You know,
Right,
our
but they
total.
still, like,
And that,
Charlie's
and
right.
there,
This
and
is-
there, and the
this is the-
library's over 30,000.
this is the one
alone.
category that definitely needs to, even though it's gonna take longer, somehow,
No, you can,
somehow.
You could just
they need
print
to
it
know what
out, you
this
can
is.
print it out on this piece of paper.
Right.
you
And
can
it's
keep it
there.
all as one article.
And then-
Just delineate what they are so that the citizenry knows what they're paying for.
Community
That's
service.
what I'm getting at. Charlie's point is very relevant to this particular one because, you know, the library and all these other people don't like a lot of these charities, myself included. And then the library's in there, which is a third of this money, and people won't even know that.
Right.
It's gonna be all or nothing if we don't tell
I
them.
think Joe's idea of, you know, having an insert put in,
Yeah, it's just printing, you know.
yeah.
Well, hell, it's already here in the budget, right? The proposed budget's all listed already.
No, it is, but like you say, you
You know
know.
what I'm saying, you know, cut, paste.
All right, so I'm just gonna make that as a suggestion, that they put an insert.
Yeah,
They, detailing what services are included.
I like that idea.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
Chairman, I did find answers to the question from the previous article.
What's that?
The previous article that we
Yes.
turned down.
Did you find it?
Yeah, there's categories that add up to it.
The other culture. Yeah.
Culture and recreation. So,
I think I've got them.
Oh, did you
Of course,
find it?
I can't find them now.
of course not.
I circled them.
Which one?
He thinks he found the other
The 10,599. It's right here. That, 350, 1249, and 9,000. That will add up to 10,000.
Okay,
What page?
so it's, page 9. It is your forestry and conservation, your stipend for the forester, your total cemeteries,
That's it.
and that's it.
Yep.
And
That adds up to the 10,599.
when did they put that down?
excuse me, but it's called,
When did they put that down?
I don't know. I just went looking for them.
I mean, that seems sort of,
This was, she had missed that, she had said.
oh, well,
All right, so, do we want to reconsider that now that we know what it is?
Yeah.
put forestry stipends in for forestry conservation, right?
Yeah. It's a forestry.
That and the cemeteries.
And the cemeteries.
In the cemetery.
Cemeteries is.
Did we ever find out about spending money on private land as far as the cemeteries?
It's illegal.
Now, Charlie says it's illegal.
All right,
It's in violation of statute.
It came down to a moral thing on one side, and Charlie's legal definition on the other.
No, it's an emotional topic, and I understand that.
whatever the legal thing says.
but Charlie, we've had this discussion. So let's not belabor it
They
right
say
now.
we dragged a dead horse out of the way.
Yeah,
No, but I mean, are we spending money on private land? And
We
there
are.
was a contention that it's a
What money?
veteran, and is it for veterans and the.
we're obligated to take care of veterans' graves.
But on private land.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
even on private
We are
land.
obligated by statute, section 1101
All right,
of Title 13, to
Maintain
preserve
and
and maintain the headstones of veterans and their monuments and markers and to cut the grass,
Yeah.
trim the weeds, and that's it.
Does that include cutting trees down?
No,
No,
There's the one down there by
by you.
well, that was
That was a
done.
major hatchet job there.
And then the one that's down near Willie's, just before Willie's, is a beautiful, beautiful trees. 60, 80-year-old trees. And I don't think they're doing any harm. Yeah, they might be drooping down on the stones, but believe me, to me, that's part of nature, it's part of the cemetery. Cutting them down, I don't know what you're achieving, you know.
well, in some cases, what you achieve is whatever's left in turn there is not rising up out of the ground.
You're probably also maintaining those headstones.
Right.
That would be at risk of being turned over.
Turned over.
The trees grow and the roots grow.
Well,
But you're only, for ancient
Graves.
graves, which are graves that were established prior to 1880, you can cut the grass, pick up twigs and branches, and keep the, vegetation off the headstones. It used to be that you were permitted, the language for ancient gravestones for municipalities is permissive. In other words, you may do these things. It's not shall. Shall is only for Revolutionary War soldiers and sailors and for veterans in municipalities. Municipalities responsible for what I said before as far as maintenance and vegetation. At no point in time does it give authorization for the removal of trees or any stump grinding or anything like that. Now, the one exception to, as far as whether it's a veteran or not, is for ancient graves. You can now go, instead of just being responsible for the grave of the veteran, you can maintain weeds, grass, etc., twigs and branches, anywhere within the confines of the cemetery. But nowhere in statute does it give you, the town, permission to actually go and remove trees. Think of it this way also. By the town doing this, the town is exposing the citizenry to any liability or cost when, not if, but when there's an accident or damage to that private property or to other features in the cemetery. So there's another thing to think about. Another thing is the town went and established a capital reserve account when they established this last year, when we have no capital assets in private cemeteries. Those are private assets. We might have a maintenance asset, a maintenance interest, but there's not capital to the town.
Any other discussion?
Oh, what the heck, Charlie.
What?
We have, how many, 4 or 5? I don't know, it might have been $100, 200 years ago. Call it perpetual care. But we have accounts,
6 accounts.
okay,
There's 6 trust accounts
6 trust accounts.
for 6 cemeteries.
Are those
Perpetual
private
care.
separate?
They're all private. We have no public cemeteries in this town.
Okay, so they're private cemeteries that we are now the keepers of the,
You're only obligated to, or you're only allowed to spend those interests. You're not allowed to touch
Oh,
the
yeah,
principal.
absolutely.
You can only use the interest generated on those trust funds for maintenance or perpetual care within that cemetery.
right.
Which is probably next to nothing.
I don't know. I don't have those books.
Anyone else?
I just know that the cemetery committee, I believe, does a really good job in some of the restoration of the headstones of some of the veterans. So I believe that they're doing a great job, and I don't see an issue with it.
All right, so
I think
let's,
they do a good job
Call
too.
question.
That's not the issue.
all right.
Right.
We ready to vote? All in favor?
Which one we're looking at here?
We're looking at 49.
49.
49, reconsider.
Yeah.
Reconsidering.
49.
Thank you, Lee.
All opposed? Yes, thank you for finding that. That saves a lot of time.
There's five, number 5-1.
Yep. All right, and the last article. Are you up?
Me? See if the town will vote to appropriate all the funds received from the state from snowmobile registration revenue to local snowmobile clubs for maintaining their snowmobile trails, on condition that those trails are to be open to the public for outdoor recreational purposes at no charge.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to accept the article as written.
Second. And, any discussion?
Does anybody know how much this amounts to?
No clue.
So it could be $10,000, it could be $100, or, you don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Should that be answered at some point?
I think you could.
Yeah, it's like the excise taxes, how do you know?
Oh, no, but
Very
a
few,
rough,
yeah.
a rough idea.
Or, you know, it's, we could ask for it to be disclosed on a yearly basis.
I mean, there must,
We get a letter from the snowmobile people,
no, I realize that.
we can ask them
I'm
what
just
does it
wondering
cost you to
what's the
do
tax
it.
revenue.
And I think you're gonna find it costs them more to do it than they.
Well, it should come
than
out
they
with the
get.
audit, the town audit.
Basically, it's saying all funds received from the state, from snowmobile registration revenue to the clubs. So it's just, we're just passing along that,
Right, yep.
those fees.
I realize, I was just curious as how much it was,
I don't know. Jennifer might be able to tell us Wednesday,
you know?
or she might be able to get it for the information. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, so we have a couple of, things that we're gonna reconsider if we get the information. I would recommend that everyone come tomorrow to the selectmen meeting. I will send Jennifer the results on the warrant, so she has them, and also let her know that we'll be reconsidering certain things that we get additional information. Before we close, there's one thing I'd like to ask everyone. We had a new process this year. And I'm looking to see what everyone's ideas were, what was good, what was bad, what we can do better. Personally, I thought it was a much easier process. I like the idea that we met with the department, you know, the liaisons met with the department heads and the selectmen initially to go over the budgets. It was much easier this year to get information than it has been in the past. And the one big change I think I would like to see is that the Warrant and Finance have a workshop with the selectmen and go through each line item, you know, for the past, well, next year we'll have 3 years of line items to go through, you know, what has been the trends, and then, you know, and do that. Because there was line items that we looked at that we told them that they were spending a lot of money, but they didn't lower them. So I think we need to highlight that a little more next year. What's everyone else's thoughts?
I believe that this was quite a change from previous years, especially when the selectmen took the initiative to lower some of the accounts. I believe that the discussions that were had on the warrant finance as far as the money being carried over and over, which gave us all the excess that we have, totally different subject on how that's being used.
Right.
It was voted on that aspect of it. So I think that the process is getting better. That's my thought.
Ray? Oh, I'm sorry, Phil?
Yeah, we're twins, so it's hard to tell us apart.
Well, you live right next door to each other, so.
If you had a hat on, I wouldn't be able to tell the
I
difference.
know, really.
With myself and a black gentleman in a class once. The instructor looked at him and said, you know, "Hey, Phil Caruso, you know," and I said the same thing, and of course, people were on the floor on that one, because it was obvious we weren't twins. Ray and I are much more closer. It's pretty straightforward, but, this is my third one, and, this was definitely easier. Of course, the school's always pretty straightforward, but this one was definitely easier with the municipal side.
Okay. John?
Ask me next year. I have no frame of reference.
Well, I mean, it's,
It wasn't like poking my eye out with a sharp stick.
at times it felt like it, didn't
At
it?
times it felt like that. You know, it's good discussion. And it brings up a lot of good points on, what we're spending in town. You know, I always expect a tax increase every year, no matter what. And if we can make that be less by going through it like we have and talking with the selectmen, and I think meeting with the selectmen and the department heads, maybe at the same time, can help that process.
Joe?
I think it was important that the selectmen set a time, an earlier time for the town meeting. And it kind of put a time frame with them. I think over the years, what I've seen is kind of using the word procrastination of this and that, on and on, until finally you get down to, you know, within so many weeks of when the town, you have to have a final decision by the Warrant and Finance, and then they are stuffed with all the information, and they don't have the time. And I think we better all work together. It's all our town. It's our money. And I think that also this surplus situation's been brought to light. And I think something should be done with it in the capacity to
Well, we'll have a
go back to the people that it belongs to.
yeah, we'll have a, you know, a much more solid, idea of how well we're doing with lowering the, surplus.
Well, it's not a matter of
And-
lowering and nothing,
Yeah.
but it's just a matter of, we're investing money in the town so that 20 years from now, they're gonna say, gee, you fixed the H road.
Yeah,
The dam down, the road dam down there is fixed. You can drive across it with a truck. And there's things like that.
Yeah.
That were neglected for years. And, you know, I've seen this town just, in some ways advance, in some ways just deteriorate. And, you know, look at Front Street. Have you been on the Front Street?
yeah. But we had a new bridge on West Shore Drive.
Yeah, but because some people
Go on.
rallied for it. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, hopefully the state's gonna fix the one in Milton Mills, and then you've got the other one to do.
The state, which one? The one on Milton Mills Road?
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
That's state, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Row Bridge is
Rose's not
Trowbridge,
state.
yeah, that's the one.
Row Bridge is ours.
Yeah.
At the foot of the hopper.
Charlie?
There are many things that I think were a tremendous improvement over the last year. I thought it was extremely helpful and collaborative, the way the Board of Selectmen displayed and massaged the budget in joint meetings. I thought that was a tremendous improvement in the way of transparency and for everyone, including the public, to understand how the budget is formulated. Unfortunately, because of timing this year, everything was compressed, and it was very difficult having enough lead time to actually go and review documents as we're supposed to have.
Right.
So that was a shortcoming, but hopefully next year, whoever's on the board, things will start a little earlier, and there'll actually be time provided for the disbursement and dissemination of the information. Information did come much freer from the administrator and from the board, and I thought that was a definite plus this year compared to last year. There was a lot less splitting of hairs. There's still some things missing that we have asked for more than once. Sometimes things fall through the cracks. But overall, I thought it was a productive process.
Joyce?
Well, they're not the only twins on here, but I've shaved my mustache because I agree with what Charlie said.
Put it on top of her head.
It's happening.
Wait a second, I could have used that.
By the way, your red blouse does clash with Charlie's orange.
It's the new fall colors,
So you
red
guys
and
will never
orange.
be considered.
I didn't know you were a fashionista. I did not know he was a fashionista. Oh my gosh. Let me get my red glasses on. The one thing I would probably expound a little bit more on, I think working together was very good. The work the liaisons were doing, was very good. I think if there could be a greater understanding that as an elected official, we as a liaison need to have the authority, and we don't need to ask permission to talk to whoever we are, whether we are assigned to or, raise your hand and say, I'll take the school or whatever it is. If it's one meeting or if it's 3 meetings, whatever you get, whatever you need. One thing I find that is really positive is we have a very hardworking select board here, and all except one have full-time jobs. Most of us, we're probably 50-50 who has full-time jobs and who doesn't, but we do seem to be a group that has more time, and I think we can be more helpful with that time. And another meeting with the select board where we were not sitting in the audience.
We should have a round table.
We should be at a round table or here and here, looking at each other, where we could really get into questioning certain things. And because I can understand that there are some questions that a simple answer might not give you all the information you need, but an in-depth answer you might be here till 10 o'clock
Which
at
is
night.
why I think that we should ask for workshops, so we're not pressed for time
Perfect.
at a selectmen meeting.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. A workshop would be a very good thing.
And that was offered this year, though.
Sorry?
That was offered this year for one hour to come and explain and work with us.
That's not a workshop.
I know it's not a workshop, but I'm saying, for the first time I had ever seen that one of the selectmen offered that.
No, but to go along with what Joyce was saying, it would be, I think, even more beneficial than what we had this year if we were all seated at the table and able to exchange comments and ideas a little bit freer.
Yeah.
Rather than going up to the
Than trying to
podium.
carry all your information up to a dais to try to get everything across, and not having the luxury of being able to open up your books.
Right.
That's gonna be one of my recommendations
Yeah.
to the selectmen
Yeah.
when,
I think-
because I told them that we were having this discussion.
Yeah.
And that I'd come back to them with our thoughts.
I think it was a great start.
Yeah.
Great start.
Lee, can't forget you.
I agree with a lot of what has been said around the table. I haven't got the history that you people have with it, but I think that cutting out the meetings and trying to do more collaborative work at the same meeting makes a lot of sense. It saves a huge step and hopefully gets us resolve issues quicker. The workshop idea is fine. The other part that I see that needs to be done, and I think it's being worked on from what I've heard from the Board of Selectmen, is understanding the capital needs of the community, looking at a 5 to 10 year plan and establishing those capital reserves to meet those long-term needs. And before we decide what to do with the excess funds, I think it's necessary to understand what those capital needs down the road are going to be, and I know it seems to be being worked on. So I think the process is going to continue to get smoothed out, and we've made a lot of progress this year, I think. I have difficulty knowing what to bring to the meetings. So, you know, the idea of having 2 or 3 of the previous budgets and seeing the changes transition through, I didn't bring my material. So, Charlie, thank you for being able to pick up that it was $200 differential from the last one.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So-
we'll get there.
I think we will too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot easier this year.
Yeah.
You know, we still have the school to do, and then a couple from here.
Yep.
But really, our work is pretty much done unless something happens in town that they need us.
One of the parts that I struggle a little bit with is that I've never been involved with a school board. They're very well organized, but it seems like we come in very late in their budgeting process. It's more of a...
They're presenting it.
They're just presenting it. I don't feel like we have the same input that we do with the board.
We don't, because at least 80% of their budget is contractual.
Right.
Now, my concern with the school is, I know contracts are coming, negotiations will be coming up. Our last meeting, I gave some figures that I had calculated that the municipal budget had increased 21% over from 2023, and the school had increased 11% from 2023. So over those couple of years, we, you know, and this is something that I don't know if Jennifer would have, what percentage of elderly do we have in town who are on fixed incomes? And going forward, I think we need to look at how quickly our budgets are increasing.
With the inflation we're seeing in the economy right now, it's going to be really tough to keep a lid on it. It's really hard.
But, you know, but Lee, what will happen at some point, the taxpayers will say, we're done, we're not giving you your budget. And then budgets will fail, and no one will get increases. And that's what I'd like to see not happen.
It takes people to run the town, so you...
But see, I think there's some foundational pieces missing right now. If you want to know how many seniors we have in town, if we had a comprehensive plan that was up to date, we would know.
City data might tell us too,
And
but I don't know how outdated they're...
whenever the last, what do you call it, was done? Census was done.
2020.
So, yeah, 2021, 2020, something like that.
Probably, yeah. That's every decade.
Yeah, exactly. And, yeah, Elise came to my house, in fact. And, but we need a comp plan in town. And that comp plan is gonna also help us with a capital investment plan or improvement plan. I think the roads are doing a great job right now with these 2-year projects that they're bringing things up. And the bottom line is they're really not capital improvements. They're maintenance that should have been done years ago and just fell, no pun intended, along the roadside, and it didn't get done. You know, some things need to be brought up to date, and, you know, I don't know, we need a 5-year plan. I agree with some of the selectmen, is making a new committee to do a, you know, comprehensive plan. Who are you gonna get? What are you gonna do? But there are some things that need to be done. And this, I'm hoping, is just gonna be a start in that kind of forward thinking. Because, like Lee said, pretty soon, I mean, you know, I'm definitely a senior. I'm definitely call myself comfortable. I sure as hell won't go out and buy a filet mignon at the store anymore, because I'm not paying $21 for 4 ounces of steak. Yeah, I mean, you know, everything we're seeing is changing a lot. And Ray says it, our priorities change.
There's also shifts going on where municipal control is being challenged by the state and federal governments.
Exactly.
And that's impacting us. I mean, going to the school and finding out that they're rolling out a plan to have a preschool program down to 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's being mandated.
Being mandated.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was news to me. I'm sitting there, what happened? The old days, I thought, you know, raise your own kids.
How much of that eventually will be covered by the state, though? How much, you know, is this going to be an unfunded mandate?
No, it will be
It's gotta be part of the school program, but
Yeah.
how it gets financed, Charlie, I don't know.
further down the line. How's it gonna get financed? Nobody knows.
Well, it's
Right
always-
now, it's wonderful. We'll give you the money.
Great for seeds, aren't they?
Well, from a development perspective, it is beneficial. I mean, from everything that I've read and I know about child development.
3-year-old's pretty young.
Yeah, but we have a
But
different
the
society.
Broca
too.
region of the brain, as far as language development and everything, is prime.
Well, they've done
exposure
studies
like that.
on Head Start, and that the kids that went to Head Start initially did much better than other kids.
Other
that
kids,
just went
yeah.
into kindergarten, but after a couple of years, that advantage went away.
Right, it blended in, right.
Right.
So-
It
The
does.
more you get them, the faster you can indoctrinate them.
So, anyway, anyone else have anything?
Lee made,
Yes,
Lee made a good point that will be addressed, where the relationship with a couple things, but policies, the undesignated fund balance and the lack of capital improvements, those are very related.
But I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
You.